next is Tempo Storm taking on Virtus Pro. So we'll see which one of those teams is going to join G2 and which one is going to fall down to Alliance to try and battle it back. But talking a little bit more about Tempo Storm and Virtus Pro, Tempo Storm added a new player to the roster last year, VLPS. But Virtus Pro, they've had that solid roster since the Winter Championship of 2016.
Yeah, Virtus Pro was a new team on the scene last year. Picked up Dr. Hippie and Naaman and Bunny Hopper after the Winter Championship last year, and both Dr. Hippie and Naaman won championship throughout the year, ended up performing at BlizzCon, whereas Bunny Hopper made it all the way to the last call tournament. So 3 players who had tremendous performances in 2016. On the other hand, Tempo Storm is one of the oldest organizations in Hearthstone esports. Gara, one of the original members, picked up Just Sayin a couple years ago, and VLPS later in the year. So they've been a little bit quieter than Virtus Pro in terms of recent accomplishments.
Yeah, but, they've all been, touted as having incredible minds for the game. Just Saying is a practice partner of many of some of the North America's best players, as well as Gar, the same for Europe. And, of course, VLPS has had his success. If we go back to 2015, he had a lot of success towards the end of the year, making it to the America's Championship and things like that. Yeah. So definitely a matchup that I'm excited for. And these teams are, 2 teams that have a lot to prove. Maybe not favorites. Virtus Pro more so a little bit, but definitely teams that have a lot to prove.
Yeah, VLPS did win one of the opening Open Cups, a 600-player tournament or something like that a couple of weeks ago, with a pretty innovative lineup at the time. Most players playing the sort of aggressive Shaman, various Pirate-type decks. He had 4 control decks in his lineup, and we'll see if they bring similar decks to this. We are into the picks and ban phase. For those of you who may just be joining us, each team brings 1 deck for each class. They ban 1 class away from their opponent, and then after they've gotten that information about the bans, they ban another class. We'll see the first ban for each team, and it will be Shaman for both. No big surprise here. We were actually discussing before the broadcast if we expected Shaman to get played at all today. Turns out it won't be.
No, not at all. And the second ban is the one that's most interesting. If we look back to the first match of the day, Rogue was the second ban decided on for both teams. So we had Shaman and Rogue ban. And we'll see if Virtus Pro and Tempo Storm decide to do their second ban. Actually, they're going to go a little bit of a different route. They're going to ban away Warriors. So pretty much the 2 most aggressively themed classes in the current meta are off the table, and now we're to the stage where both teams will decide a deck that they do not want to play in their lineup. Is it going to be Hunter?
I got a prediction.
Okay.
We hunt alone.
Will we hunt alone?
Oh, poor
no.
Rexar.
It's so sad.
He doesn't even have Huffer to hang out with anymore. Huffer won't even answer his calls.
Yeah, he just sort of grays out into the darkness. It's like, oh no.
He's like, oh, thanks.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about how strategies might change with Warrior off the table. We saw last match that Murloc Paladin seemed to dominate. Now that Rogue's in the mix, does Rogue shake things up against anything Paladin more than Warrior did?
Oh, absolutely. Rogue is a class that can really, really put a lot of pressure on the slower sort of combo control style decks. It does have the ability to come out with very fast starts now, thanks to Small-Time Buccaneer plus patches, and has the long game plan of Gadgetzan Auctioneer, just draw a ton of cards, eventually explode you with Leroy combo kills. So there's a lot of ways that you can get ahead at various stages of the game with a Rogue deck, in particular against slower opponents.
All right, well, here's the lineup for Tempo Storm. VLPS will be on the Paladin and the Mage. Keep in mind, though, as a reminder, even though VLPS is piloting the deck, all the players will be collaborating with each other. And as we saw, we'll get to listen in and hear some of those conversations. Gar will be piloting Warlock and Priest. And then, of course, Just Saying will be piloting
Rogue
and the Druid.
I got that one. Dr. Hippie for Virtus Pro will be playing Mage and Rogue. It'll be interesting to see maybe he brings that Freeze Mage. He was very well known for Freeze Mage in 2016. Haven't seen much of that deck, but in Last Hero Standing, you can play a little bit more targeted decks. Naaman with Druid and Warlock, and then Bunny Hopper with Paladin and Priest.
Yeah, and for people who may be just tuning in, it is a best of 11 format using Last Hero Standing. So effectively, it's the first team to get 6 wins will win the match. When you win with the deck, you're forced to play it again in the next game, and when you lose with the deck, it's eliminated from play.
So far, as anyone might have predicted, it's been Last Paladin Standing. Wait, that's not what anyone had predicted at all.
Yeah.
But we actually saw a 6-0 Paladin sweep from G2 over Alliance, and I'm really interested to see if these teams maybe tuned into that and are sort of adapting their pick ban strategy. Okay, we saw what this can do. We got to be aware of that going in.
I told someone, I don't remember who it was, in December. So hopefully they'll come out and clarify that Paladin would be a tournament-winning deck by the end of January.
Okay.
I don't even remember who.
This tournament's not going to be over until the end of January. It ends in February, right?
We'll consider each week, each individual day has its own separate tournament.
By that you mean a match-winning deck.
So
I want a game on ladder with hand buff Paladin. Does that count for your prediction? You're just making up new rules as you go along.
Nah, I guess you can have that one.
Thank you.
But we'll see how these guys' strategies change because these guys didn't have time to react to the previous matches decks before they submitted their own.
Right.
Deck lists were due yesterday, so even though they might be able to have watched the last matches and see pick and ban strategy and what decks had success, they didn't necessarily get to change their decks based off of it. Only their picks and bans.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see this evolve. I know that when we were playing, I had a chance to play a couple of years ago in ATLC, seeing the metagame of the various deck selection and individual archetype choices within classes evolve as the format progressed was really interesting. And that was Conquest. In Last Hero Standing, you have even more dynamics in this big of a deck pool as to what you might want to bring out to counter particular decks. You could very easily, if we decide suddenly anything can happen, Paladin is just the killer deck. Maybe you've got some deck with a Vilefin Inquisitor in there. Who knows?
Sure.
They probably wouldn't want to use your Paladin deck if Paladin's so good to counter your opposing Paladin deck. But anyway,
who knows? Who knows? But we should be getting to the next match shortly. We had a quick turnover, so we're just getting the players set up into their matches. In the meantime, let's have a small theory crafting session.
All right, I'm ready.
Aside from Vilefin Inquisitor as a tech choice in Paladin to defeat Murloc Paladin, what are some decks that are weak, or that Murloc Paladin is weak to, that aren't, say, Shaman or Warrior?
Shaman and Warrior obviously are super strong.
Yeah.
I do think the Rogue is very, very strong against anything can happen. The deck really is at its most vulnerable to just very aggressive decks. It is good at setting up and dealing with sort of mid-game boards, but isn't quite as good at dealing with just early-game aggression. I don't think we're going to see, say, Zoo. Zoo's okay against it. You do have Doomsayers, you have Pyro Quality. There's lots of tools you have that are quite good. But a lot of the modern Zoo decks that have discard stuff are probably more powerful than many of the previous versions that are the smaller minions, which are much more vulnerable to Wild Pyromancer, to Consecration. But again, there's some interesting decisions there. So do you decide to play, say, a Zoo deck rather than a Reno Warlock deck? Maybe Reno Warlock is better in the abstract, but you can target your Zoo deck against the specific things that you want to play it against.
Yeah. Big thing about Last Hero Standing, you can sort of choose when a deck makes an appearance, aside from the first one, which is Blind Pick. But even then, you're sort of choosing to go up against, to throw a deck out there that may risk losing and being eliminated. But looks like the teams are just about ready to jump to the next match. One thing to note here is that it's Last Hero Standing. Oh my god, I lost my point.
It's the last hero that's standing. It's the Paladin.
No, I was going to say that they can get to choose which deck they come off with, but the inherent risk in choosing which deck they're going to come off with, if they pick Murloc Paladin and it loses, then you don't have Murloc Paladin to counter one of the control decks that comes up later on.
It's true.
And who knows? Maybe they don't even think Murloc Paladin. There was also the point that G2 did have some pretty good draws later on in the series. So maybe it's not as strong as we've come to see.
We are talking about a very small sample size.
Yeah.
Obviously, 6-game win streak against tough competition is very impressive.
Yeah.
But it does show that the deck is stronger than it is on ladder when you weed out the aggressive decks like Aggro Shaman, like Rogue. But in this matchup, the Rogues are both available for both teams. So definitely much more vulnerable position for that Murloc deck.
There's also the opportunity for these guys to maybe bring a different kind of Paladin. We said that Anything Paladin might be the most popular form of Paladin, but at the very beginning of Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, a lot of players were on the hype train of Handbook Paladin is a new thing, and I know a few players got high ranked by playing a different type of Murloc Paladin which was the
Aggro Murloc Paladin?
the aggro Murloc Paladin, the board float Murloc Paladin, where they use the Grime Street
Outfitter.
And
Smuggler's Run. I'm just going to name cards that you just apparently don't
exactly.
know. I played a lot of Paladin and lost a lot with it because most of the Paladin decks are bad.
You could have made up a word. Like Grime Street anything.
The Grime Street Hat Wearer.
Grime Street Janitor.
Yeah,
I'd be like, yeah, that's the one. The one that buffs the hand. All right, well, let's start off game number 1. Virtus Pro with Bunny Hopper piloting the Dragon Priest, it appears, and Temple Storm with Gara, who's going to be piloting a Reno Warlock for the first game.
And this is a matchup that generally is quite a bit in favor of the Warlock deck. The Dragon Priest deck is very sort of mid-rangey. It's good at dealing with early opposing minions. It's not terribly good once you get into longer games, unless you get really, really good operatives. Because the biggest thing out of the Warlock deck in this matchup really is Jiraxis. There's very little burst damage potential for the Priest, which means that once you get to the stage that your opponent is able to just make a 6/6 every turn, it's pretty difficult for you to come back.
Yep. Got a lot of tools Dragon Priest has to better fight against control decks. Draconid Operative is a huge tool. Not only does it provide additional value by getting a card, it also is a dragon itself, while also benefits from dragon synergy. So it's got a lot of flexibility in a dragon deck. Tempo Storm already starting off with Reno in the hand. Against aggressive decks, yeah, Reno's always good to have in the hand. Against this deck, maybe not, since it's not something that you can, very easily play until... You'd rather have spells that can, or minions that can help you fight with the board instead of Reno this early on against the Dragon Priest.
Yeah, the best card to have early in the game as the Warlock against Dragon Priest is Twilight Drake. Because none of their removal kill. It is a 4-attack minion. It has a lot of health. Also, the 4-attack means it attacks very well into a lot of the early game minions, like Wormrest Agent, or even Bran if it comes down early. And Virtus Pro, Bunny Hopper going with the coin, the Wormrest Agent. He does have the Netherspite Historian to follow that up, give him a little more dragon fuel to get that Twilight Whelp out. And Gara, though, with a little bit of an awkward hand, not too much in terms of proactive early plays. Spellbreaker can be okay if your opponent does use resources to get an individually big buff minion. We see the Cabal Talon Priest, but not really an all-star in the matchup at all.
Dragon Fuel.
Dragon Fuel. It's the name of my energy drink that I'm going to be releasing pretty soon.
I thought it was a cologne.
Ooh.
Dragon Fuel.
No, that would be that'd be Dragon's Breath.
No, that's like...
You don't smell fuel, at least you hope not. That's
yeah, but breath is not really something...
Yeah, but at least that's something, maybe it's just Dragon has really good breath. Maybe. Dragons are known for that, having sweet-smelling breath.
It would, the cologne would definitely have to be flammable. I assume most colognes are flammable.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are.
Because they're, like, alcohol-based.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. Me and Kibler are experts on the chemical makeup of different fragrance products.
All right, well, it is turn 3 for Gara here. He got a little bit grin there, but pretty bad hand, honestly. He is going to go ahead and just life tap here. Doesn't have any of the big 4-drops. You really want to have, like I mentioned earlier, the Twilight Drake if possible. Mountain Giant's quite good as an early play, but we do see that Bunny Hopper has Shadow Word Death just waiting in the wings in case that big 8/8 does come down. And Virtus Pro going with the Draconid, not Draconid at all, it's Blackwing. Blackwing Technician.
All right, well, lots of decisions to be made. A huge hand here for Tempo Storm. So let's take a look to what they're thinking about.
It would be just if he goes like Bran plus Talon Priest, but then we have to kill it, like otherwise we have to just... Also, like the other options are just all bad. If I the hand is kind of anticlimactic.
Like fucking Nirvana. And this power will shield the 2/4, and then I cabal it as well, right? And just smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you
like-
smoke or?
Yeah,
Why would they
that's like
trade?
playing around Shadow Flame, yeah. There's just no reason to trade. Don't like trading as well. Smork, smork.
I could also go cleric and heal and shit.
No, I don't like
No, play Cabal, it's
they
more
have-
pressure.
Yeah, you just
But
have
on
to
2-6, right?
Yeah, on 6. He used the Spellbreaker. If he's gonna Saffron Soul it, very good. If he's gonna use the potion, very good.
We can think about trading the 1-3 to play around. What's it called? No,
No, just go face.
Shadow Flame?
no.
Breath?
Mind control shit.
The Mind Control? Yeah, Mind Control
But I
tech.
think we're fine if you mind controls here. Like if
They will probably not even run Holy Nova.
What do you think, Sane?
Brass Crystal is bad because we go back to 5 for next turn in case we have to Reno.
Many possibilities.
I don't think we'll have to Reno though. If you'll have 4 damage on board, I guess put us down
If
to
it-
13.
And we can also not.
I mean, it should be kind of done, right? Just because if we play for Foulfire, we go way too low, we just die to AoE.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, we can't utilize our Spellbreaker otherwise.
Yeah.
He would just be there.
Okay, okay.
But then he trades the 1-3 into. It's like
I think that Blast Crystal's fine. I don't think he can kill us on his turn 6. Or on his turn,
So
yeah, we can Shadow Bolt the 3-4 next turn.
possibilities.
Goes Draconoid Operative. He does a trade with his 1-3.
Is the Value trade even so much better than killing the 3-4? When he just trades.
I mean,
Smork.
We heard the in-depth strategy from Virtus Pro there. Smork.
Well, they
Smart.
understand, how to win this matchup. You want to, pressure, make the Warlock playing efficiently, and then Dragon Priest has a ton of reload that's hard to deal with, a ton of value from the cards that's also hard to deal with. So they're going to continue piling on the pressure here. Going to put Tempo Storm down to 13. They only have 8 damage being represented on the board, so not really threatening any type of lethal. But it's definitely going to force something out from Tempo Storm, and this board is super annoying to deal with because none of these minions really die to any type of AoE that they have available.
Yeah, this really does represent Virtus Pro having an understanding of how this matchup works out. That they are definitely the aggressor. In many matchups, Dragon Priest wants to play a controlling role, but in this one, you definitely need to try to prevent the Warlock from getting to the stage of the game where they can leverage those powerful cards like Jiraxis, like their big AoE clears. Once you get to 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, you're getting Shadow Flamed, you're getting Abyssal Enforcer, you're getting Twisting Nethered. But right now, big minions, they're going to stick.
Yeah. All right, well, Power Overwhelming is an option for Tempo Storm here. It can be used with a combo. It would mean that they have all 3 pieces of a combo, but combo is not necessarily the way you win this matchup against the Dragon Priest, because usually you won't have time to be able to clear a board in the next turn, play a combo that deals 20 damage to win the game. So maybe a Void Walker, it could be a way to block damage to buy them additional turns. And that's what they're going to go with.
There's some incentive to just take the Power Overwhelming in case you just find Shadow Flame. That the ability to PO Shadow Flame something can be very powerful. Though they do have access to Leroy plus Shadow Flame, which is going to clear pretty much anything. And you need to have, obviously, Minion plus PO plus Shadow Flame. But as you mentioned, the Voidwalker does represent the ability to preserve a little bit of your life total on the board later on. And now Virtus Pro, they've slowed down a little bit. They no longer have just smork as their strategy. Especially with that Cleric in hand, they can start actually getting some card draw going. There is, the Azure Drake. Azure Drake is obviously going to add the most power to the board right here. But because it's your last dragon in hand, you run the risk of finding cards that you draw that you're unable to get any real impact out of once you commit your final dragon.
Yeah. And now Azure Drake's looking very appealing, if only because the Holy Nova draw, it means if Reno is played next turn, which is sort of a necessity, then they can draw a lot of cards with Northshire Collect plus Holy Nova next turn. And that's incredibly powerful in a deck like Dragon Priest, where reload is very important. So Temple Storm, wow, the Hog Rider.
Which it's Leatherclad Hog Rider, I think.
Leatherclad.
I think's his name. It's interesting. It is. It has charge if your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand, if I recall correctly. So
Yep.
anyway, Reno comes down, and 20 life, pretty good.
Look at this turn from Virtus Pro next turn. They get Northshire Cleric, attack in with the Twilight Drake, and then Holy Nova. Draw 2 cards, clear the board, and end up pushing 6 + 3, 9 damage
Math checks out.
while building a ridiculous board.
They do have the option. Oh, I was going to say they have the option for Corruptor, but they had committed their final dragon here. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we see the Holy Nova clearing that off, building up more resources, and you know, it went from the big board and then Reno down, and now Tempo Storm once again nothing against a reloaded Virtus Pro. Let's see what they have to say.
Fire doesn't look tempting because we expect him to just refill the board afterwards.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
And like Felfire is like, as long as he doesn't have like the second Twilight Guardian or the Draconoids next turn, Felfire should hopefully clear. I mean, he could have Rag, he could have the big dragon that he got from the Nether Spite.
I mean, I'm considering to just go the Charger, right?
I think the charge is better personally.
And not Void
Walk Walker. Or what?
If you go Void Walker, he gets a free draw, and that's just not.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, but I mean, at this point, like him drawing 1 card is like.
It's really good for him, I think.
It does stop 4 damage or 3 damage.
Yeah, I think it's hard to set up the Felfire Potion if we don't play like the Void Walkers as well.
Yeah, I like the Void Walker.
So many
But we get him closer to the Draconic Operatist.
I think it's fine to play it. Shadow Word Death comes down here. I mean, Rag's pretty tempting. It depends. Let's see how much he develops here. If he makes like
Yeah, more likely is Corruptor, I would say, than Death. Just
yeah,
save
which
the
makes
Death.
Felfire insane.
Yeah. He used one
Corruptor heal.
Talon Priest. He used one Talon Priest and 2 shields.
Is someone injured?
He could still Corruptor.
All right, well, nice decision by Temple Storm to hold on to the Felfire Potion because it looks like it is going to get, you know, an absurd amount of value. Virtus Pro, though, going to be drawing a lot of cards, so maybe not too upset with Temple Storm spending their entire turn next turn to remove their board.
Yeah, it's also just worth noting that Tempos are going to be really low. The Felfire Potion does do 5 damage to themselves. They've already used their Reno. If this Azure Dick connects with the face, they're down to just 12 life and unable to really play anything else to follow up the Felfire. So definitely a powerful spot. And Virtus Pro does have the option, too, of not using that Corruptor, trading in and playing Operative, which is way better against the Felfire Potion.
Yeah. All right, well, they make the Blackman Corruptor play. And we'll be swept up in Felfire Potion, but Temple Storm's going to be all the way down to 12 health.
I've actually never heard the death sound of that guy. It's pretty sweet. Sounds like he's like skidding off the road or something.
His animation is pretty cool. You put him on the board, and
he's like,
his charge animation just shakes.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Just rev it up.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I have to imagine Tempo Storm's going to go with the Felfire here. Life tap. I mean, they got to find something.
Yeah.
They're going to Felfire. Life tapping. It's not like they're going to be in a situation where they're dying to 10 points of burn here. They're playing as Dragon Priest. So, and then a lot of removal in the hand of Virtus Pro. And Tempo Storm really needs to find... there's Power Overwhelming is at least somewhat attractive because it represents burst. You know, when you're playing the Dragon Priest deck against the Reno Warlock, you need to find ways to do more damage than you can naturally do. And yeah, they pick up the Power Overwhelming. That does give them some additional oomph that can finish off the game in the situation that either Draxus comes down or they just need a little bit more to power through the life total of Tempo Storm.
Also gives them some information. Tells them Siphon Soul and Twisting Nether are not in the hand. Power Overwhelming pretty inconsequential, but it means that that could give them a little bit of information if they're trying to overextend onto a board.
Scouting report.
Yeah, Twisting Nether is picked up though, so.
Haha, you thought you had info.
Yeah.
You got bad intel.
Yeah. All right, so options here. They can try and dig for something with Cabal Courier. They can Ragnaros a Fire Lord, but at this stage, you can expect a Shadow Word Death to come out. They might want to play it safe and just, refresh and vendor Imp Gang Boss to try and put some minions on the board to contest.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot for Tempo Storm here. The Ragnaros isn't really that attractive. As you mentioned, the Shadow Word Death is an obvious answer. We'll see what they're going to do in their own words.
Reactive cards he's been sitting on. And yeah, you can develop 2-3 things. Death the Emperor, but we need to play like Vendor and Emperor next turn to win this game anyway. So
Yeah, I think that is the play.
Like, otherwise, you're playing like Soulfire and Ragnaros. I don't know.
It's too risky. I like the. I mean, we have the
Ragnar
red, yeah.
die anyways. The turn you play him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Ragnaros just-
You'd rather play the Emperor and the Vendor and have the Emperor get death, right?
Yeah.
So even though it was a short listen, we got a really good idea of, the thought process that turn. Just saying we need to play Refreshment Vendor and Emperor next turn to win the game, since they need 10 minutes to do so. So when are we ever going to find time to Twisting Nether? And they go ahead and do it now. But now they're staring at 2 powerful minions. That's 9 damage on the board. With Refreshment Vendor, they go up to 14. 1 off Virtus Pro would be with the power overwhelming.
It does give the Corruptor as a potential lethal draw for Virtus Pro if they go with that line of play. Also, because they are playing the Emperor and Refreshment Vendor into a 5/6 on board, it means their Emperor just dies naturally if they choose not to go face.
Or, I mean,
Or just get dead.
Shadow
Yeah,
Death,
there's
Shadow
so many
Pain,
ways.
and then put them on 5 health. Also, could be an option. But, they do have the 2 of the combo pieces in hand, plus a Soulfire, which means that their maximum combo would be 24 damage instead of 20. Maybe they'd be able to piece together, but it's looking very unlikely at this stage since their Twisting Nether is gone, and Virtus Pro is just going to continue to build up a big board. So maybe they're going to deviate here and Siphon Soul instead now that it's picked up.
Yes, Siphon Soul does take out the 5/6. They could potentially play the Refreshment Vendor, which doesn't at least just die on board. But we know that there's both Bookworm and a pair of Shadow Word Pains. Yeah, and I don't expect this Refreshment Vendor to be long for the world. Bran is not really super exciting in this spot. There is the Cabal Talon Priest, which you can play the Bran Talon Priest, get a gigantic health minion. With the Siphon Soul and Twisting Nether gone, that actually is pretty strong. Not nearly as strong as something like a Netherspite Historian with it, but you just make one giant fellow that's very likely to live. And yeah, just keep pushing damage. This is 3 minions that are out of Hellfire range. They're out of most Shadow Flame ranges. You'd have to have something really big to Shadow Flame with them. There's Bran for Tempo Storm. Do they need to go for a fancy Courier play? Try and find something that's not even in their deck to win this game?
Courier.
Bran Courier, you can find Nova.
Ice Block.
Ice Block would be okay. It's not going to buy you enough time, I don't think.
Yeah.
But you could find Cone of Cold could at least buy you a turn where you're able to have these in play. This is just a really, really rough spot for Tempo Storm, and this is one of the matchups that they generally would expect to win.
Yeah, it's very true.
And this is, there's 9 on board for Virtus Pro already. And we know that Power Overwhelming is waiting in the hand. That just represents lethal damage.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see the Bran Courier.
Who knows what secrets?
Got to find something good here.
What's in the box? Power Glory kind of prevents 4. Demon Wrath isn't doing quite enough. Conjurer could be good if they got more time. But yeah, Power Glory, Frostbolt. That's a delaying tactic at least. They can Frostbolt and then play Power Glory on one of the opposing minions, which prevents it from being able to actually attack for damage.
Surprised they didn't actually do that the other way around.
Yeah, maybe. Well, though this does mean that their Bran is at least somewhat protected.
Yeah.
They can't just kill it with a single attack from one minion.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, actually.
Virtus Pro now, they did pick up a dragon, so that Bookworm could be active. That's what they're looking for. Holy Nova, ooh. Double draw from the Bran. Holy Nova does represent a potential board clear. Not that they really care that much about keeping their opponent's board clear. They could just go to the face. They probably want to kill that Bran, though.
Yeah, Bran and make an attack to the face. Probably better to trade to play around a possible Hellfire or Abyssal Enforcer.
Well, the Holy Nova, if they just attack into Bran with their own Bran and cast Holy Nova, it looks like they're just going to go ahead and clear these off without using the Holy Nova, preserving that using the Pain instead. Going to heal up on debating here, going to keep the Drake alive. And yeah, with that Twisting Nether gone, there's really not much that Tempo Storm can have that ends up clearing this board. Even a Shadow Flame would have to be like Sylvanas Shadow Flame to take out enough of this board in order to really get back in this.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to Rag and then use a Soulfire potentially on the Azure Drake to try and block some of this damage. And there goes the Leroy.
Loses Leroy, which means they're basically all in on Jirax at this point. And they hit the worst minion. They hit the one minion that was Power Gloried.
All right, well, that's
there's
lethal
6,
damage.
yeah, that's actually, they have 6 plus the 6 from the Corruptor thanks to Double Bran, and then Power Overwhelming for a little bit extra damage to finish things off. Can just use Holy Nova if they want, doesn't really matter. This one is going Virtus Pro's way, and it is 1-0 with the Warlock knocked out by the Priest.
And they eliminate the Reno Lock, which Reno Warlock is actually can be a pretty nice tool for countering specific decks later on in the last year standing format.
Interestingly, that's one of the decks you might have picked Reno Lock to counter is the Dragon Priest, but did not go their way for Tempo Storm. So it'll be interesting to see what they choose to bring out to beat this this Dragon Priest.
Yeah, so you can see Virtus Pro with that win. 5 wins away now until they secure their 6th in order to win the match. They'll continue to play on the Dragon Priest, and it'll be back to the drawing board for Tempo Storm. But in the meantime, we're going to have to go to a little bit of a break before we jump into game number 2 between this match between Virtus Pro and Tempo Storm. But don't go anywhere, guys. More Hearthstone Trinity Series right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Trinity Series. Well underway with match number 2 for the day of day number 1. It's been fun so far. This format's actually really cool. We were laughing in the break about the 6 Paladin check marks across the screen. It represents the 6-0 beating that G2 gave to Alliance with that Murloc.
Yeah, that was
deck.
brutal. And
Yeah.
now we see Priest taking the first win in this match. It's not something we would have expected to see in 2016, but it's 2017 now.
Yeah, it's a brand new year filled with, I guess, Priests and Paladins. But they did win Game 1 with their Priest, so that means Virtus Pro will be playing the Priest again for Game number 2. What that means is, of course, that Tempo Storm will have to decide a new deck now that their Reno Warlock has been eliminated that will go up against the Priest. And
What do you think here? Any obvious choices in your mind?
well, Rogue, but Rogue is also a deck that is a great counter against maybe other decks down the line. So maybe that's not the choice. Mage, probably not.
Mage is probably, assuming it's Reno Mage.
Yeah.
Generally, one of the toughest matchups for Reno Mage is Dragon Priest. I think that there's a number of sort of medium matchups there. I think Druid's okay in that matchup. It's a pretty even matchup. I do agree that it's, well, I think that one of your best matchups is probably the Rogue deck. It can be really dangerous to use what might be one of your best counters this early on. But it will be the Rogue deck from Just Saiyan on the top of your screen. Bringing it out, we actually see Bunny Hopper. He's no longer holding very, very still. He's actually starting to move now.
Yes, very, very still and looking quite stoic with his Virtus Pro jersey. And this was also pre-orange hair for Dr. Hippie, or maybe perhaps post-orange hair, since we haven't seen him in
quite a while. It's true.
Yeah, but maybe Tempo Storm's plan is to just sweep with the Rogue. Just Saying has an incredible amount of experience on Miracle Rogue across many different iterations and many different metas. So he's one of the players that many people consult for the deck. So probably not only piloting the deck, but probably also driving the decision-making for Tempo Storm, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and this is definitely a deck that can be pretty complex to play in a number of situations. We do see keeping most of his cards. The Small-Time Buccaneer, obviously one of the most important aspects of that hand, giving the Miracle Rogue deck a previously unavailable aggressive opening. But Northshire Cleric for Virtus Pro does mean that at least the patches is not all that scary. And Tempo Storm needs to figure out, okay, how do I want to deal with this? Because you do play Small Time Buccaneer, which I imagine they will. You're going to see the patches come in, and then Virtus Pro has the ability to potentially clear off the patches, get a card. But then, if they do that, you can just dagger up and use your Buccaneer to kill the Northshire Cleric. There is the option for Virtus Pro to attack into Buccaneer and then heal the Cleric. That does mean that if Tempo Storm chooses to clear the Cleric with the Buccaneer itself will die.
Which, sacrificing that clear on the patches, which a 1/1, how much of a consequence is leaving the 1/1 up alive, not too much of one. I like this play quite a bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see the dagger come out. And this effectively trades the Buccaneer for the Northshire Cleric. Virtus Pro got a card, and Tempo Storm got a patches. Not entirely clear who comes out ahead in that, but
Definitely the patches. 100%.
I mean, I would say that I would probably rather have a card than just a 1/1 in play in this particular matchup, at least. But
Probably.
depends.
Just additional options.
Like all things, it is variable. But Just Saying has a pretty strong hand. He does have the ability to bust out a Tomb Pillager next turn. But let's see what Virtus Pro is looking at this turn.
Job's done. Okay, they still have.
Yeah,
Like the Coin Pillager.
I think so. Consideration is hitting into the other spot. Because if he plays 3/6, I'll likely sap it and coin the Drake. So I think hitting is
Yeah, I like it. I like that.
Also, the life pool doesn't matter though.
No, yeah, I mean, the only thing that matters is the dagger charge, in case I have the time not to re-dagger later.
Because he needs to use Fan of Knives. But I mean, like.
I like more Shadow Verdes. He can sub, he can somehow deal with Cloud Drake.
I must consider.
Well, we're gonna need the death, right, against his bigger threats.
Yeah, but you can get sap from that guy, from that native. But I mean, like, yeah, not Shadow Death is kind of important in this
It's more
matchup.
safety to play Shadow of Death, no?
No, it's actually more safe to play the dragon. Because in case he's gonna play something big like the... But I think we don't have to play against like Western Adventures and Van Cleef. I think, yeah, Shadow of Death is the
What
better
about
play.
just double 2 drops?
Oh, actually, double 2 drops.
I don't
I
know.
kind of like double 2 drops here, yeah. Go for it. Play the Historian first, yeah. I like this play. Yeah, Drake. Cool. Yeah, I like this play much more, yeah. This way we can trade with the Pillager and we're not using Shadow or Death. Yeah, that's a really good play.
You think he doesn't have death? Yeah, he would definitely death it, right? Are you sure he doesn't have death? But yeah, anyways, what do you do? Do you go for the cleave here? It's pretty bad.
Tough.
I wonder.
You could also just hold. How bad is it to just wait
Choose soon.
and go face?
So wait a turn.
I think the 5 goes face.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because he has Black and Corruptor, it's like the punish happens anyway. I guess we could trade.
We'd rather kill this 3-2 then.
Yeah, then we would want to kill the 3-2 in that case.
Yeah.
I don't hate the wait. Draw Conceal, it's worth it.
So, Virtus Pro hold on to Shadow of Death. Probably going to be a good choice since Gara said, there's no way they have the death. They would have used the death there, right?
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear the way that different players evaluate those kind of situations. You know, because yes, it's pretty clear that there's a good death target, but there's other good death targets. So you know, in this matchup, we heard Virtus Pro talking about how important it was to save their death for that Edwin Van Cleef, and you know, if they had just played their death there, and a big Van Cleef came down, that could be a big deal.
All right. Well. Ooh. Leroy to clear.
The classic Leroy removal plan. Not really what you usually expect, but this version of Rogue, we saw the Questing Adventurer in his hand. You have a lot of powerful options to build other big threats that can win you the game. And you know, we see the Gadgetzan Auctioneer in Joseon's hand. So you're not reliant on that big Leroy burst. You can just generate multiple big minions that are difficult for your opponent to deal with, and don't have to rely on sort of the combo kill.
Yeah. So Azure Drake ends up being the play for Virtus Pro. They give up their Dragon for Twilight Guardian activation. But Tempo Storm's got some tough decisions here. And starting with the Gadgetzan, so let's go ahead and listen in.
Yeah, I like it. Nice.
I think I'm saving prep by the way, so just hit that thing first.
Yeah. Wow, next turn is absolutely insane if he doesn't have Dragonfire.
He doesn't. He runs 2 Holy Novas. So.
It's yeah. We saw both at the very end. We saw the second one.
That was actually so huge.
Do you like Bran? I mean, we're eviscerating that for sure.
Yeah, we're eviscerating. I don't
think you're playing Technician.
Do you think Technician? I mean, if we play Brand, they're supposed to kill it.
How do they kill Bran?
Eviscerate?
Drake, backstab, dagger?
Backstep, fan, dagger.
Yeah, so yeah, the Technician is better.
Plus you
Especially
can
if
save
they use
Bran for Corruptor. So.
Corruptor,
yeah, taking into account that they already used Leroy, so we have to play against big threats. Yeah, Technician is a better play.
Can we add one roll?
Cut value?
Because if we just go like Auctioneer Conceal, or if we wait, I think it's probably better just to do it, huh?
Yeah, we have double fan, sap.
Let me think about the other lines.
I think the math behind drawing the second conceal is pretty high next turn.
Also, you should be drawing your preps now.
Well, we don't say that, Gara.
So if we draw the second conceal next turn, it's like
We're gonna draw the prep.
big
I mean,
question.
the consideration is whether or not he has Ragnaros this turn, and I think based on what we saw in the deck, he probably doesn't run Rag. But
Yeah, I don't think so.
Gara's pretty confident that those preps are coming. It's
coming, man. Don't
Just
worry.
saying.
We're
I mean,
due.
He's like trying to keep his expectations realistic. He's like, hey, Gara, come on. Don't say that.
It's like the gambler's fallacy in action. We're
Yeah.
due, man. We're due.
All right. Using Holy Nova now, I guess, to set up to be able to kill Gadgets and Auctioneer should another Conceal come out. But it looks like they're going to try and go for a big questing this turn that would rely on them drawing that second Conceal, though. Because Questing Adventure, one of the remaining tools that they have to win the game. Preps would be good. Prep could be comboed with Fan of Knives, and there's a preparation. Carl's right.
He knows.
Yeah,
and
right all
then,
along.
Prep into Fan, we are going to be going on some quests.
Yeah. Still got a counterfeit coin left in the deck. Still got another prep left in the deck. Ooh, a Violet Teacher.
Interesting. That is a fairly unusual inclusion. And I think that Tempo Storm's debating, do they want to sap this brand here? Or do they want to play Fan of Knives? Fan of Knives is more efficient in terms of their overall mana usage. They also just have the option of sap afterwards.
Yeah.
This gives them more cards to potentially find that that Conceal. Ooh, Backstab. There's the Conceal. They could play potentially Swashbuckler into small time, into Conceal.
Oh, yeah.
Or is Van Cleef? They're not going to Conceal.
Well, if they give 2 death targets.
It's true.
Brotherhood shall obey.
All right, and they recognize the Holy Nova is a real concern. Just going to trade off their Auctioneer. Well, let's hear what Virtus Pro is going to do to deal with this big board.
Adventure, I guess.
Nah, the questing is gonna get bigger than the advent.
And play the Daunt.
And play the cleric, right?
Do you think Cleric or Daunt?
No, you can play
Down
both,
and
right?
Cleric.
Yeah, just play both. Yeah.
And you kill the questing, right?
Yeah.
One more coin, one more bread.
Yeah, but no more auctioneers.
Is someone injured?
They still have one more. They still have Drakes, double Drake. They have Pillager. They have one more quest and adventure.
Pay attention, class.
Do you play Swashbuckler? Like, if you would have played Swashbuckler first, like.
I think the Cold Blood into the Conceal with the Hero Power, kill off the Northshire. Or should we save the Backstab? I think we're sapping the 3/6 because we're pushing the 10 damage to face.
Yes, of course.
And then I think it's Cold Blood, Hero Power. Oh, no, we can't Hero Power then. So then I guess we leave the Northshire up. It's fine. We just conceal the board. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the play.
I wasn't just sure, like, on how fast to play that if you have the mana in
To
Swashbuckler.
play both the small time and Swashbuckler. Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is he goes Holy Nova and plays the Guardian against. We go Backstab, Phantom Knives to deal with that with the Teacher. He has 2 health, so we need to hit one of the Eviscerates or the Cold Bloods, right?
Yeah. And how many cards do you have?
So just saying, very quickly went over their game plan. Should Holy Nova plus Twilight Guardian come out, and they still have a pretty solid way to win. This 14 damage is almost always going to, if it goes face, which it will. And Questing
Fine
picked
questing.
up. That's actually really good.
Yeah, Backstab into Fan does mean that just the Violet Teacher can clear the Twilight Guardian here, and then Van Cleef looking to get a punch in the face. Even if they don't find damage, Swashbuckler could find, say, a Mind Blast to finish things off. There's also, importantly, both Holy Novas are gone, which means it's very, very difficult for Virtus Pro to clear off this board. 14 to the face, 15. Virtus Pro down to just 3 life, and they don't even have a way to deal with one of these huge minions, let alone 2.
Yeah. And it looks like that's going to be game. I don't see a way out for Virtus Pro.
Yeah, this is, yep, and we see the Priests go down, so we actually have the first game win for both teams in the entire Trinity Series.
Tempo Storm has already done better than Alliance did in their first match.
Well, there's no
against
Paladins
G2.
yet, so
Yeah.
who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
All right, well, tied up 1-1, and with that win on the Rogue, it means that Temple Storm will stay on the Rogue. So now, Virtus Pro has to find a deck that's going to be good against Rogue. But Rogue could be the anything paladin of the series, so to speak.
It could be. It could be. Well, no, it can't be yet. It can't be anymore because it could win every game, but there was a game lost already. It can't actually 6-0. I guess that deck alone could 6-0. But anyway.
It could 6-1, though, because if you look at the remaining deck list for Virtus Pro, which we'll get to in a second, there's not many that you can say, oh, that one's really good against Rogue. But there you go. With that win, just saying we'll be piled into Rogue again, going into game number 3. And Virtus Pro now, Mage, Druid, their own Rogue, Warlock, and Paladin left remaining.
And this is sort of interesting. We saw the same general ban strategy from the teams. They banned out the Shaman. Shaman got banned by both teams in both matches. Then we saw Rogue get banned in the first match and Warrior in the second. And both teams, or every team rather, chose not to play Hunter. But in general, Hunter's considered the weakest class right now. It's very weak in a number of matchups. But I have to imagine that if you're looking for a deck that's like, okay, I need to be able to beat Rogue, I need to be able to beat anything Paladin, you can do that with Hunter. You can build a Hunter deck that's good against some of these very strong classes that really threaten to sweep in this format. And I wonder if these teams are looking at just sort of what are the strong decks in the metagame in general, and not necessarily analyzing the last hero standing format with the 2 bans.
Yeah, I mean, that's really true, and that could be something that we see going into week number 2 when the teams start to adapt and really understand how the format is going to work. But looking at, possibilities for decks that Virtus Pro uses for game number 3, probably Reno Mage, if they have it. I'd guess it looks to be, on paper, the best matchup against the Rogue, and it's not a deck where you really have to save it for something later on that sort of hard counters, I suppose.
Yeah, Reno Mage is sort of a generically strong deck. It is good against, well, it's even-ish, I would say, against Rogue. You do have the ability to deal with Big Van Cleefs. You have Reno and Ice Block to keep you alive through big burst turns. You do run the risk of, kind of as we saw in that game, running out of ways to deal with big minions. But it will actually be, Mage, it will be the choice. This could be Freeze Mage. There's the possibility.
And if it's Freeze Mage, then it actually has a much better matchup against Rogue than the Reno Mage has. So we'll definitely have to see. But Dr. Hippie, he is piloting the deck. He was known, as you mentioned earlier, in 2016 as being the Freeze Mage expert, even though he went back
he played Tempo Mage at the World Championship at BlizzCon. So, but I mean, this entire hand, that's the Freeze Mage hand. It's very peculiar to me, by the way, that the one card that's not gold in his hand is a Frostbolt. It's a basic card, but it's just a non-gold Frostbolt. What's going on here?
Which means his mage, either he decided not to use a golden Frostbolt.
Well, he has a gold Arcane Intellect. I don't know which of those you get at a lower level. They're both basic.
Probably Frostbolt.
I think Frostbolt's a card that you get gold first.
I guess you just choose not to use Frostbolt. All right, but Virtus Pro, going over their mulligans here, let's take a look at their thoughts.
I'm not sure about the Asbury, but yeah.
I think you need one.
How about 2?
Who goes there?
Go and crossbow, wing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. That has to be.
Yeah.
Okay, does this make
So this is actually really good for us then with the gadgets in hand already.
Yep. For sure. He doesn't know that I run double conceal, does he? No, we double conceal.
We should both, yeah, we should both.
Yeah, shit, he knows we double.
Fine.
It's like okay, I guess.
Ooh, nice. Good, good, good.
But don't you, like, you play this guy only super late with conceal, right? In this matchup.
So we got a little bit of a glimpse of Tempo Storm's conversation. I didn't quite hear if they identified it was Freeze Mage. When we went to their comms, it said, oh, it's got to be. They may have thought about it. They didn't really get much information, though. They saw that they saw that a few cards were kept and a Frostbolt on turn 2, so who knows. It's sort of hard to decipher until you get to, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6.
Or you see 2 of a card.
Or you see 2 of a card, yeah.
And we do see the 2 Ice Barriers, so we know this is Freeze Mage, of
We
course.
know.
And this is, I like this from Virtus Pro, because I do think that Freeze Mage is a deck that is generally poorly positioned in the metagame on ladder, but is a very strong deck in the right matchups. And that's the kind of deck that you want to play in Last Hero Standing. And we saw Alliance's strategy in the last match. They had just generally good ladder style decks.
Yeah.
And they got trounced when they didn't have a good answer to the Murloc Paladin deck. And having specific kind of pocket picks that are good in specific matchups is much stronger in the metagame as Last Hero Standing plays out, especially with so many decks in this team format.
Cone of Cold is nearly useless in this particular matchup.
Real bad.
It can be used for Alexstrasza later on in the game, but a lot of times if you're the rogue player and the mage plays out, Freeze Mage plays Alexstrasza, you're dead next turn regardless. But who knows? Maybe it'll find a fringe case. Maybe they'll use it on their own minions to draw a card with prep. Who knows? But probably not.
Probably not. Well, it will be Virtus Pros up now. Let's see what they are thinking in this particular turn.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. The next turn, they're supposed to play the Auctioneer, so 1/1. I'm not sure. Yeah, I really doubt that he's gonna buff it up before Blizzard. So yeah, kind of like I think like Intellect, kind of like it more. Is it worth pinning it?
But if you will draw Acolyte, we need to ping it, so no time to play Barrier.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Right, too?
yeah,
Barrier
double
plus
Acolyte.
Talons, right?
Yeah, very talents. Yeah, like it. Oh wait.
Job done.
There,
I
I was thinking about playing in Doomsayer.
I think we keep Doomsayer for second freeze.
Second
or
Doomsayer.
We need to cycle badly.
Yeah. It's, I was just thinking about the Auctioneer. Like he has to use prep sap for Doomsayer, and then we play Nova into Doomsayer. But yeah, we don't have any cards. Yeah, need to cycle.
10-10.
Or you go Auctioneer. But like, what does Auctioneer do? It's
Yeah,
like,
10-10 is pretty huge. He used a Fireball and a Frostbolt, and it's turn 6.
I wonder.
Like the chance that he has like Frostbolt Icelands or something, so small. But
I mean, the
The thing is, like, we don't know,
consideration
we don't know if it's Reno Mage. That's the problem. Like, if it's Reno Mage, Polymorph just like stops that really hard with the Edwin fall in.
Too soon.
I like the gadget.
I got the best deals anywhere.
Just cool about the 1/1.
Yeah. Like, we can always.
Well, they didn't know it was Reno Mage until right at this very moment, seeing that second Ice Barrier.
Wait a minute, this isn't what I thought at all.
No, this is definitely a Freeze Mage, and maybe regretting not making that 10-10 Van Cleef last turn. But then, you know, they wouldn't have been able to think about Frost Nova Doomsayer since they didn't have a sap in their hand yet, because they drew that from the gadgets in. Now they do, though, so they have protection for Edwin Van Cleef should a Freeze plus a Doomsayer come out.
This is a kind of interesting turn for Virtus Pro. They can clear if they want. They can use Frost Nova Ice Lance Ping, which to get rid of the entire board. It does invest one of their Ice Lances, which is obviously a valuable tool for their burst plan over the course of the game. They can't use. They could just Torch Ping and leave up the 5/1. But yeah, it looks like they're just going to go ahead and take the opportunity to not quite clear the board. They're going to play a Doomsayer. They're going to leave up the 5/1, play the Doomsayer. This does mean that they can potentially get this Doomsayer bounced or cleared, protecting the 5/1. But 5/1, they can just ping next turn if they want to.
Usually Doomsayer in this matchup is something that you want to try and use proactively when you can, because it's really the only sap target that you have in your deck. So it'll always draw out a sap, and so you can never guarantee that it'll hit the big minions when you need them. So it's better to try and buy yourself some turns by dealing with the big minions before the big minions can come into play.
Right. And yeah, what Virtus Pro really wants now, they're looking for card draw. They're looking for some way to just get their burn assembled to get their other tools that they need in the matchup. You know, he's managed to get to this point in the game with 35 life, which obviously is pretty tough for any deck to overcome terribly easily. But really, he's really low on resources right now, and he needs to assemble his actual proactive game plan, because if he doesn't, he just gives the rogue tons of time. Auctioneer can really just kind of go off and make things difficult.
Really slim pickings here.
Yeah,
for this pro.
He really wants to find Arcane Intellect. Really wants to find Acolyte of Pain. The Emperor is okay here. It at least kind of forces something to answer it from Tempo Storm. Getting reduction on Evolved Kobold is very valuable, because Evolved Kobold contributes to a lot of the big burst options.
But Tempo Storm looks like they're about to go off, as the kids say these days. So let's take a listen in.
I wonder.
No, we should develop both threats this turn, for sure.
Yeah, we should develop both threats. Question is to be backstab. I think we save it, so we just go.
We go backstab sap. Then
I like the backstab. I like the backstab. Yeah. That's what I was contemplating. I know we have to develop both threats. The question is, yeah, we could always just save the prep. So he's got a Blizzard and he's got 2 Novas, 1 Doomsayer.
I mean, he's not clearing, right?
Yeah, he's not clearing for sure.
It just depends on.
Yeah, I think you cobbled Torch and Plutorda and Pin Eden.
Yeah, we need to draw
Don't see anything else. Yeah.
Pink Edwin.
I wonder.
Yeah, Pin Eden. Do think about pinning face. I mean, like, we're gonna be using cobbled, so yeah, we have to wait for the extras, so yeah. I think pinning Edwin, yeah, it's way better. They already used backstab. So cobbled, they have to want to ignore it.
Just need to draw cycle.
Acolyte. Arcane Intellect.
So many draws.
Yeah, but it's good that that isn't that big.
Yeah, I like the cone here. Nice. We're pushing that damage.
You should not run Flame Strike, right?
Strike matters too much.
They want to have a hard road counter. Yeah, he's playing the double ice barrier. Probably no flame strike.
Yeah, he's more.
Well, that was about the dream use of Cone of Cold that I could have ever imagined in this matchup. And Dr. Hippie gets his wish, gets some cycle into cycle.
I think I actually am just looking at his deck. I think all of his burn spells are non-gold, just to allow him to easily count damage.
Why wouldn't he just make all of his cards non-gold?
Well, no, all of his other cards are gold, and all of his burn spells are non-gold, which allows you to easily identify what cards in your hand are relevant for counting damage.
Min-maxing.
Yeah.
I think his Ice Lance was gold.
Was it? I think you might be right. Was it gold?
I think it was.
So far, we've seen Frostbolt, Fireball, Forgotten Torch. All of those have been non-gold.
Okay. Maybe you're right.
I'm trying to, you know, identify some sort of method to this madness here.
The killer's been like,
this is actually what I've been thinking about all game. Everyone else is just like, okay, what should he do? I'm just like, what's the explanation for this non-golden Frostbolt? This is what bothers me. Keeps me up at night.
Well, one thing that Virtus Pro is doing is they're eliminating a lot of the threats from Tempo Storm. That's 1 Questing Adventure down and the Edwin Van Cleef. So there's 1 Questing Adventure left in the deck that's still going to pose a large threat. Of course, you know, these minions by themselves, Gadget, Auctioneer, and Azure pose a lot of threat. Especially since, you know, we heard that they were mulling over, does this deck even run Flame Strike? Which, you know, Dr. Hippie in the past has run many Freeze Mage decks that did not run Flame Strike.
Ooh, Prep Eviscerate. There's a counterfeit coin also waiting. Gonna hold on to it though, not cycle this turn. And there is the option for Virtus Pro to slow down this damage at least. Get an AI and potentially Blizzard here. Yes, it's gold ice lance. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's only the things that definitely do damage.
Actually, that's only sometimes
does damage.
All right, well, let's take a listen into Tempo Storm as they're coming up on a pretty tough turn here.
50 that we draw.
Oh, we
It's
can
over
also
50%.
backstab the Valves. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it's over 50% that we draw the industry.
And we can get more spells.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
way more above. We have only 8 cards left. It's like 90% or so that we get to loot for.
Yeah, coin first.
And you should have done coin first, for sure.
What? No, there's more mana. Stop.
Oh,
Yeah, no, that's good.
I'm sorry. It's my bad.
I think it's worth fanning. Oh, nice. Now it's
That
what?
should be it. That's
50-50. No, it's 100%.
No, it's 100%.
It's not 100%, guys.
66.
Really?
Almost out of cards.
Nice.
I mean, okay, it was not 100%.
Oh, nice.
So the only way they lost that game if Eviscera was a very last card, because they wouldn't have had the mana for it. But, you know, doing the math, they said, it's almost guaranteed that we get lethal as long as we get a decent chain of spells. And Tempo Storm keeps the train going with the Rogue. 2 wins now.
Yeah, and that was really the counter that Virtus Pro had brought to deal with the Rogue, the Freeze Mage, traditionally very, very advantageous in that matchup. But Dr. Hippie didn't find the card draw he needed. He was really playing that game with a very low hand size, which is really not what you want at all with Freeze Mage.
Yeah, and sometimes that's been something that classically Freeze Mage has struggled with. You know, their own worst enemy at times. If they don't get that card draw early on, they can struggle even in matchups that are sometimes considered favored. But there you can see Tempo Storm 2 wins now, both with the Rogue, so 4 wins left for them to take this match. And they'll be on the Rogue again next time. Of course, last year standing rules. And so it's going to be on Virtus Pro to decide what they're going to pick to go ahead and counter that Rogue. And it's between their own Rogue, a Warlock, which we have not seen, a Druid, which we have not seen, and a Paladin, which we have not seen.
So if we assume that these are the most common builds of these classes, probably going to be Anyfin Paladin, which is not a deck that you want to queue into a Rogue.
Yep.
Generally a class that you actually want to play Rogue into, because it's a very good matchup. The Rogue itself, which basically a mirror match, we assume. Druid, usually Jade, pretty tough to beat Miracle Rogue. And then the Handlock as well, the Reno Lock, that's also going to have a tough time with the Rogue deck.
So all 4, their best matchup is probably the Rogue.
It might be, it might be the Rogue deck.
Yeah. Yeah, Anyfin Paladin is just really tough because they have to have equality clears on demand when Questings or Van Cleaves come out, because other Peacekeeper can't get through Conceal, and even then, just the minion pressure alone, and the sheer amount of card draw that this deck can accumulate can run them out of the game pretty quickly. So I don't know. This is a really tough choice. If they go with the Rogue and try and try their hand at a mirror matchup, then they don't have their own Rogue to try and counter later on. If Tempo Storm were to have a deck that it would be good against.
But you got to get to later on, and to do that, you got to beat the Rogue, and it will be Rogue versus Rogue here. Dr. Hippie piloting the Rogue deck for Virtus Pro, and just saying, continuing his march with his own Rogue deck. We see the Buccaneer in hand, going to be the only one kept in that draw, and then Dr. Hippie, that's not a good hand for him.
No. And usually you don't have too much time nowadays in Rogue Mirrors because, the volatility of the matchup has increased because of the fact that now you have counterfeit coins. So, Van Cleaves can come out early that are bigger. You have Pirates early on to where you can, put your opponent on a much shorter clock. So, the volatility of the early draws can be a huge deal, more so than they used to be.
Speaking of a huge deal, though, that Eviscerate picked up by Virtus Pro does give them the ability to clear off that small-time Buccaneer if they so choose. There is also the possibility that they want to wait. They could potentially just hero power, kill Patches. Next turn, they could potentially prep Eviscerate, kill something, and play a big Edwin, which may be, sort of looking at their hand, one of their sort of best tools to get back into this game.
Let's go ahead and take a listen into Tempo Storm to see if they're trying to formulate some sort of game plan in this Rogue Mirror match.
I just fan next to him, if I need it. If he does nothing, I do nothing.
So
but
his head sucks.
Like, he might eviscerate this because, well, actually, If he had Eviscerate, like considering the line that he took with the Coin Fossil, he would just like he would wait, right? Or what?
All in.
Oh, he's going Edwin
He's
here.
making some Edwin here.
Nice.
Which is happening.
Yeah, just
Really all in.
Ooh. Go for it. Or do you wait till next turn and go conceal? Questing conceal next turn.
Dude, he used the Eviscerate.
Give me a quest.
Yeah, I guess if he only thing that punishes is sap, but yeah. If he doesn't have sap, it's like GG.
I mean, if he has Zap, then we go next turn conceal.
I'm gonna start swinging.
Yeah, for sure. Nice, dude. I mean, yeah, even if he has sap, we just go questing conceal next turn.
Yeah.
Of course.
We just play all the guys.
I just play the Buccaneer and the Edwin, right?
Brotherhood shall prevail.
Well, VLPS gets really excited about questing adventures, that's for sure.
Nice, dude.
Nice!
But I mean, this is, as you mentioned, definitely a very volatile matchup. You know, there's a lot of really powerful things can happen very early on. This is turn 4, and we're seeing a questing adventurer attacking for 7, and perhaps getting concealed as well. And I'm just going to read Dagger. He saw that there was no sap. If there was a sap, it would have been played. So the only situation he needs to worry about is sap being drawn this turn to stop that questing adventurer on his.
And then they
gold
replay
level
it.
up. Yeah,
and
they just
conceal
replay it, right.
And then there's no more sap because they knew that they didn't have a sap earlier.
Right.
And the next sap came off the top. So I think Virtus Pro here, their only hope of trying to get back in this matchup is using. No, maybe Astro Drake would be a little bit better because then you have a minion on the board and it forces Tempo Storm to make decisions whether or not to kill it. But you're taking so much damage
yeah,
if you do that.
It just hits so hard. If you play Azure Drake, then Tempo Storm just plays a spell, hits you for 8, and then conceals, getting a 9/9, and you're dead next turn.
So I guess Phantom Knives is you have a higher chance of winning.
You have the best way to beat
sap.
the card Conceal if you play Phantom Knives because you can at least draw sap. Whereas if you play Azure Drake, you 100% cannot beat the card Conceal. And you're not really even positioning yourself to draw something that matters that much. But it will be Azure Drake for Virtus Pro. Finds a Cold Blood. That is pretty much going to lock things up for Tempo Storm. Just going to go ahead and fan, hit you for 8, Conceal, get a 9/9. Oh, even a Buccaneer,
even
too.
a Buccaneer.
All right, we got a 10/10.
Might as well.
We're hitting double digits. And Dr. Hippie, with single digits worth of life, is not going to have any more turns in this one. And we see a bit of a smile on his face. He knows this is over. And there it is. I give up. We've thus far seen one class win every game so far in each of these matches.
In each of these matches,
so far,
yeah.
this is the Rogue show. We saw the Paladin show
earlier.
in the previous match. This is a Rogue show. There are 4 Rogue wins for one team. Or is it 5 already? It's yep,
3
there it is.
wins.
So it's
yeah.
3. It's 4 total Rogue wins overall. And you know, can anything stop Valera in this match?
I don't think so. Nope. We've learned 2 things so far: is that Rogue is exceptionally good when aggro decks are off the table, and
also Anyfin Paladin is exceptionally good when aggro
we've learned
decks
3
are
things.
off
We've
the
also
table.
learned that Dr. Hippie's hair is no longer orange.
I didn't know that. I'm colorblind.
It's brown. It's brown now.
I believe you.
Yeah, he must have dyed it. But that's game number 4 in the books. And while we get set up for game number 5, we are going to have to go to a quick break. But don't go anywhere, guys. More Hearthstone Trinity Series will continue right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Trinity Series. We're away with match number 2 for the first week, the premiere week, Brian Kibler, and it's been really fun so far. We got to see a 6-0 Paladin matchup earlier. Now we're going to see Rogue dominate. Even though Rogue maybe not is in the same situation, the meta currently is Paladin, so it's not as exciting. It's cool to see these decks have a lot of success.
Yeah, and we're really seeing the power of these strong decks against particular archetypes, and we're not really seeing strong counters come out to them. In the first match, we saw the Anyfin Paladin deck go up against a lot of mid-range-ish decks since the more aggressive decks were banned, and now with the aggressive decks banned as well, we're seeing the Rogue just kind of run roughshod over Virtus Pro's lineup.
Yeah, and this matchup is sort of no different. If Rogue usually has a pretty good time against Reno Warlock, it's a little bit of a match. It's a matchup that's a little bit differently played than some of the other ones, but maybe not necessarily. Leroy is probably one of your main sources of win conditions here. Trying to assemble the combo and utilize that amount of time. But you can still, use those questings. But let's go ahead and take a listen into Tempo Storm's communication here to see what they're formulating for their game plan.
Just winning the game on its own.
I mean, this hand alone is really good, even if we don't draw small time. So,
but the small time is it's like a win condition. It's so insane. The wrong one mana card. So they kept 2 cards again. What would you keep against Rogue? Obviously, the big threats.
It's like Kazakis wins the game, basically. I think I enjoy keeping Kazakis every time.
Yes, of course. Reno as well.
yeah, Shadow Bolt, Reno, Kazakis, Twilight Drake, Mountain Giant.
I think this is a matchup where hitting is better. Even if we draw Phantom Knives.
Yeah, I like Titan as well. Oh, that one's good.
That one's a good card. I like it one. You got the 2 Papas, Kazakis and Reno. Oh, Redagger. Good.
The 2 Papas.
Hey, we were talking earlier, what is the Trinity? The Trinity Series? I think it's Reno, Kazakis, and Patches.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, they say the 2 Papas, the Father, the Son, and the Charging Pirate. The Trinity.
As they say.
Yeah. All right, well, Tempo Storm here, they are facing down this Twilight Drake, which kind of makes their normal turn 4 play of Tomb Pillager look a little bit awkward. But gonna go for it anyway, though, because it does set up the future coins for Auctioneer or for Van Cleef. Though Virtus Pro has great answers to either of those in their hand. The Kazakis preemptively can potentially deal with a Concealed Auctioneer by getting the AoE. That's one of the most important things against the Rogue deck, is to set that up. And speaking of preemptive, Tempo Storm going with the Backstab attack, which does mean that their Tomb Pillager will at least trade with this Twilight Drake.
Will they deny the coin? Or would they go to try and get a potion from Kazakis? Kazakis, you hear just saying mention. Yep, I'm usually pretty happy to play Kazakis.
I'm pretty happy to play Kazakis basically anytime.
Yeah.
In any matchup. It's actually like the one card when I'm playing a Reno deck, I just keep it in every single matchup. There's not a single one where I don't want Kazakis.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good card.
Could be a 1, could be a 10, could be a boat.
Could be a boat. Let's go ahead and take a listen into Virtus Pro to see what they're mulling over.
Trade up the Kazakis.
Yeah, but I
Right.
mean, like, if we spell breaker right now,
I mean, if-
it's gonna deny their auctioneer for the later turns. Because they don't have
Yeah, that's true.
So I think we have
I like
to go.
Silence Wall. Like,
Yeah, I like Silence as well.
Your magic shall not save
Just
Why silence it?
Like it's
It's a
not
fine silence.
Coin's a big deal.
Yeah, coin's pretty big. But yeah, he might be running Blast Crystal and Siphon, so he might not need the Edwin answer as bad.
I mean, this is fine. I go 1, 2, 3 and into 6-1, right? So
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, I think so. And then they probably play the Mistress.
Yeah.
Which does the 5 mana
5 mana potion, yeah.
5 mana.
Has
4 damage to everything?
yeah.
But wait, you don't wanna show them.
Yeah, it was good one.
Which order does this work now? Does it still work the wrong order?
Yeah.
Polymorph before? I thought it polymorphed after now, but I might be wrong.
We can actually summon minions.
But it's the 4-1 that died.
So many.
Wait, it's gonna AoE first, then it's gonna polymorph.
I'm not sure about that.
So summon friendly minions.
Not sure. Probably still take the polymorph.
Yeah.
Side effects? No.
So, yeah.
Still wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Well, as we've experienced just today, it appears Naaman is unfamiliar with how it works.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion there about the specifics of the potion usage, and he may be a little bit upset here if he uses it. And Edwin is guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, but Edwin only has a 50-50 shot of getting polymorphed here.
Yeah. And because it polymorphs and then deals the damage. Instead of the other way around, like he assumed.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're actually saying, oh, I think it was changed to work the other way. It was actually the freeze that was changed. It used to be that it would freeze first, then AoE,
which was really unintuitive.
Which was really bad.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll freeze these things, then they're dead, and then your thing that survived is not frozen.
Who goes there?
All right. Well, Tempo Storm just pushing for damage here. They have the conceal, so. Going to go ahead and take out the Emperor, and they do have a 50-50 if Virtus Pro goes for the Kazakus to polymorph this Edwin. Oh, they found a Shadow Bolt, though. So actually they could get the guaranteed polymorph, though they're losing their AoE, which is very crucial against the Gadsden Auctioneer.
Mm-hmm.
They're still 23, so they're not under an incredible amount of pressure. Even just the Abyssal Enforcer is actually pretty tempting, because Abyssal Enforcer will kill the Small-Time Buccaneer, get enough damage on the Edwin that the AoE can clear Edwin plus a potential Auctioneer in the following turn.
So many possibilities.
Even Abyssal Enforcer, then Dark Peddler.
Dark Peddler or Doomsayer.
Or Doomsayer, yeah.
Either
Doomsayer.
of those. Gonna go ahead and Peddler first. It looks like he's not going to be going with the Abyssal Enforcer most likely this turn.
They're running out of time, though.
Yeah, this is the rope burning. Voidwalker seems like it's probably the most attractive of these. Can at least prevent one hit from something big. And are we going to see Voidwalker plus Doomsayer plus Shadow Bolt? Trying to set up to get this Doomsayer to go off. And then Tempo Storm needs something to get through that Voidwalker. Obviously, they could sap it and then kill the Doomsayer. That does, use a pretty significant resource in the sap when you're playing against a deck that has a lot of large minions.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Tempo Storm to see what they're formulating in their heads right now.
Let's deal with this dagger.
So this will be the turn that we know if they got the Kazakus potion or not.
I mean, they do, like...
He makes it there for 10 mana composition.
It takes the majority of the turn, and then we just go off with the refill.
Play Abyssal Enforcer, and then Mortal Coil, and then White Walker.
But we still have 5-1 left, no?
Yeah, 5-4.
Yeah, but we also have a 1-3. I think it's probably the Enforcer, so that we can even kill a Concealed Auctioneer.
Yeah, okay.
So Abyssal Enforcer, right?
Yeah, so you trade. Ah, that's good. That's really good. That's nice. We can even play Sylvanas Face Assembler next turn if we need to. And he doesn't have backstabs left, so like getting to the 1-3 shouldn't even be that easy in theory.
If we hit, like, we can go coin, but...
I think you just save the coin for the second gadget. It's better to just not. Yeah.
Yeah, just conceal, not do anything.
I'd rather Swashbuckler. yeah.
Might as well play it.
Swashbuckler. Thinking.
That's the one of the worst. Wait, yeah, you can't even use that, right? Or it does work, right? You can damage demons.
Now you can use it.
Yeah, it's a friendly dude. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We can kill stuff with it.
Glad they clarified. Just saying, he read the card. Friendly
No,
demons.
this does work. This does work at damaging demons, just not your own.
Yeah. So,
Ooh, Shadow Flame picked up by Virtus Pro.
Yeah.
That expands their options.
But now their Kazakus potion's sort of dead in the water a little bit if they decide to use Shadow Flame now. Shadow Flame has much more potential.
That's true.
Also, this could polymorph the Tomb Pillager, which...
now they know how that card works. Now that they've tested it. You see a little bit of smile from Naaman. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Polymer first.
We just denied just about everything.
It's interesting, because Tempo Storm chose to save that Tomb Pillager, and they actually end up kind of getting punished for it because of the polymorph effect going off and hitting it. They lost their coin, which cost them a card. Oh well, that conceal does give some extra chance for this auctioneer to get some value in.
Give me a quest.
But there is that Shadow Flame awaiting them in Virtus Pro's hand. So this game is not looking good for Tempo Storm anymore. This is their last auctioneer. They are running out of cards. Gonna go ahead and Demon Fire that.
All right, well, I mean, this is one way the Warlock can win if they have so much removal. They can even keep their Sylvanas alive if they want to by using Face of Shambler and then Shadow Flame. And it also, well, I guess it pushes the same amount of damage.
So would you rather have a Taunt or a Sylvanas here? It's not entirely clear. We've seen one sap, I believe.
Have we only seen? We've seen
many
both
of these decks actually only
conceals.
play a single sap.
Yeah.
Because of though perhaps given the metagame difference in this format and the ability to ban out a lot of the aggressive decks. Well, we'll see what they're gonna decide on this turn from their own words.
3 cards.
No reason not to top.
Yeah, my bad.
No, I think the Sylvanas is better than the Taunt. Just because you might want to siphon your own Sylvanas.
Yeah, I think with the Drake.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Fan.
That's fine.
I don't even know if I want to snap this, to be honest.
I mean, the Shambler's
is that?
gone.
What's up?
I actually like the Sap. If we draw... Actually, no, we can't draw into lethal. I don't know.
This is happening. Okay. No,
I'll
this
use the
side.
Drake.
I think if he trades, then we can go off. I think it's better to hold sap.
Okay.
It's higher 1% here.
It's more good the Sylvanas. Interesting.
If you want a PO, just go face and Bran. I know. So Reno, PO face.
Yeah, seems decent.
Yeah, this branch is no way we can lose.
He has a lot of good plays here. Even just playing the Bran and then playing face would be fine. Because I mean, what's he gonna do?
Virtus Pro recognizing, we just get a lot of good plays here.
Doesn't matter what we do, they're dead.
I think that was the strongest one, though. They take the minion and they push the damage, and Tempo Storm's going to tap out. Virtus Pro stops the run of the Rogue, and they're going to take their win with the Reno lock. I mean, pretty good stuff. It's a deck that isn't necessarily the best against Rogue, and they handled it quite well.
Yeah, and you know we already have 3 times as much class win diversity as we had in the first match.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Tempo Storm goes to in order to counter this Reno lock now. A lot of the aggressive decks are out. Their Rogue is out. And they are going to have to see what they have left in the tank. Virtus Pro obviously staying on that Warlock, last year standing format, winner stays. And taking a look at the lineup remaining for Tempo Storm, they have access to Mage. Reno Mage can be pretty strong against Reno Warlock, especially if it's one of the burn-heavy versions with Antonitis. Makes it difficult to get defeated by Jiraxis. Priest, generally tough. The Paladin, though, Paladin is, as we saw in the first series, very, very good against Reno Lock just because of the burst potential and resilience to removal that it has with anything.
Yeah, so a couple good options here for Tempo Storm. So they actually are in a good position to finding a counter, and with a few good decks, they can pick and choose. They can say, well, what deck is going to be a good counter to Reno Warlock that we also don't need later on for another potential deck. And I'd have to say that's Reno Mage because it's just better all around. So it's the most likely to win this matchup as well as win more matchups moving forward. But maybe they don't even feel like they need to win more than one matchup with it. Because they do have the lead still, even with that last game loss.
Yeah, and we don't know for sure that it's Reno Mage.
Yeah,
it could
true.
be Freeze Mage. Maybe it could be Tempo Mage. We actually saw, I think, Reynad recently in the NA versus China played Tempo Mage in his match there. He didn't do well with it, but there is still a variety of possibilities for the Mage class in the standard format.
Maybe he passed it on to his students.
I mean, this is his team, so... Maybe he said, someone's got to win with this. I didn't. So, VLPS, go!
Everybody on Tempo Storm is required to take the learning classes, where the study of
learning
the noodle.
classes. That's the... I think that's what classes generally are learning classes.
Some classes are doing...
Maybe you should be Secretary of Education.
Some classes are doing classes.
Ah, okay.
Where you do not learn, you do.
Ah, got it.
And some classes are, what other types of classes are there, Kibler?
Well, there's Paladin, there's Rogue, there's Mage, there's Druid, there's Warrior, there's Warlock.
Yep.
And we're going to see a couple of them in this next match. We know one of them will be Warlock.
And the next one probably will be Mage.
That's a very good chance.
I think we've been pretty on point with predictions today, as far as
I mean, I did say that Paladin was going to 6-0.
You did. So... As a joke, which later became serious.
And then it happened. So I need to be careful with my predictions.
But we've predicted classes that appear, and it is Druid.
Okay, this is actually not going to be the Jade Druid. This looks with the Oracle and the Dark Arakoa. This is probably Kun Cthulhu looking to burst combo. And this is a very powerful deck against control decks as well. Probably more powerful than Jade in this particular matchup because of the very difficult to overcome win condition.
Yeah, I did play against someone on ladder yesterday, actually, who played Jades, but instead of Gadsden Auctioneer, played Cold Light Oracles.
Yeah, I've run into a number of Oracles, and my opponents are constantly casting them when I have like 8 cards in hand. I'm like, oh god, no.
I mean, you find that situation not quite as often on ladder because of all the aggressive decks, but when you're playing against a lot of Reno Mages, Reno Warlocks, where not only does it have the benefit of being able to cycle with Jade Druid, Jade Idols in your deck, it also has the ability to overdraw your opponent.
Well, I would not be surprised too. I've seen naturalizes in these decks as well, because you're planning on you're not planning on playing any kind of attrition style of game. You're just trying to stay alive and explode your opponent with your one-turn kill combo. So having the cheapest card advantage / removal tools available to you is very important for that play dynamic.
Yeah. Well, it may have appeared that Tempo Storm went for the 4-key, but they threw away a Dark Arakoa and got back a Dark Arakoa. You can see a small smirk on Sand's face as he saw that come in, but still a good early hand for Tempo Storm, as they have quite a bit of ramp, which is essential for a deck like this one, where you're trying to get to the big stuff really quickly. So you want the ramp, and then you want the cycle.
And then Virtus Pro, they have a lot of what they're looking for. The early Twilight Drake puts a lot of pressure on, and that's the weakness of the Druid decks, is generally a big minion early. They're not very good at dealing with that, unless they have something like a Naturalize or a Mulch. Yeah. We'll see what tools they have and how Tempo Storm is going to navigate this turn.
So Yeah. I guess.
Land serves me.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth doing anything else here.
Ah, don't have it if he doesn't like he.
No
like,
Mountain Giant. Twilight Drake's okay-ish, but Mountain
No,
Giant.
he kept one. He actually kept one card, so he should have one.
I mean, the Mountain Giant's not terrible.
He kept one card.
He has one more keep in hand.
2 more keeps, actually.
2 more keep. Actually. He might have kept more.
The ancient one calls.
Oh yeah, so that's the OTK one. It's not that bad. The rat is gonna be really important in this match. Just no reason to attack, right? The next
No.
one, Demon Rat,
No.
Call if we want to.
Yeah, exactly.
To attack.
There it is. They can overdraw so much here.
Oh yeah, the Naturalize and Collate Oracle. They can kill that giant and draw themselves a bunch of cards. They even have Bran. They can just burn so many cards from Virtus Pro here.
So they can draw 6 cards, so they'll burn 5, and then 1 on the next turn, so they can burn 6 total. Let's take a listen to Tempo Storm to go through their thought process.
Just do this first. We naturalize first no matter what, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be better than this.
My hand.
No, it's actually really important to save it, to be honest. I think developing here is better. I think it's better like this, guys. Like, we can always go off with the Aviana into Coon.
I can just innervate Aviana.
Not silence.
Alright.
I mean, don't we have to come back somehow? Like, we'll have to grab board against him, right?
Yeah, but we don't have heal.
So many
Yeah.
possibilities.
But we'll steal a taunt, that's the idea at least, right? I'm sure we can just lose, but even if we Siphon Soul, we're never getting better on board. You just place another big threat next turn. Still, we have the potential to get full board control just with playing 1 Demon Wrath and trading.
Yeah, like Sylvanas. Yeah.
I
He's
have
gonna
no
play something
time
more.
for games.
It's gonna be ouch.
So nourish.
Or do we ever just go like, we don't want that Sylvanas to steal something big.
We're going
Do we
Cold
ever
Bite,
go
right?
Brawn? Cold Bite. Limit is us. I guess.
No, we're going
I think
Collate
Cold-
first.
Fine, let's Collate alone first.
My hand is too full.
I don't hate making the Mire Keeper now. Just to prevent the Sylvanas from stealing. I mean, 33% is pretty bad for us.
Do you like trading into it?
Yeah, I think you have to trade into it. Then depending on what he steals, we can go face with the other one. But if we don't develop the Mire Keeper, it's 33% he steals the second one, which is very, very bad for us.
Well, no.
Mire.
We do coin and kill the Drake and then trade in the Sylvanas.
Yeah.
What?
So it doesn't matter what he steals.
Time waits for no one.
No, I think we just go face. We just simply go.
Oh, you think go face? Okay. Alright.
7 mana, right?
Alright, I don't hate it.
What's he gonna do? He's gonna steal a 2/2 and play the Reno, right? Like, whatever.
Okay,
He doesn't have enough mana.
Well,
Whatever.
I mean, you can still play Demon Wrath and then 50-50 steal the taunt.
It can actually Abyssal Enforcer and guaranteed steal the taunt. The other one.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He could Abyssal Enforcer, attack into one of them,
He'll go down to
guaranteed steal
6,
the
though.
other. He would be at 6 life. It's kind of scary against swipe and such. I mean, you get pretty dominant position on the board, but yeah, you are definitely very, very vulnerable at 6 life with no healing.
Yeah. Demon Wrath and then Mortal Coil could guarantee
Yeah,
the
Demon
taunt
Breath
also.
Mortal Coil also does it. You retain your life as well.
And then you can fit in... Don't want to draw cards, I suppose. Try and get some cards out of the hand. But pretty powerful turn.
Yeah, the choice not to draw there is interesting. right, the Voidwalker here. I mean, I suppose he's trying to protect himself against overdraw of something like Reno.
Yeah.
Because he is so low. But despite having such a massive board presence here, Tempo Storm is still, they are looking to play a combo kill game. Their goal is to Aviana Kun Cthulhu you. And while Virtus Pro does have a pretty big board here that can absorb a lot of damage, there is the Bran as well. So I believe there's only been the 2 Dark Era Koas that have been played, though. So Cthulhu is not that big. He's only a 10-10.
12-12.
12-12? Oh, right, they're each 3. Yeah, never mind. I always forget those are the triple
unique.
buffers.
They're the outlier.
Every other one is a 2, and that one's a 3.
Yeah, well,
I guess
there's a 1.
Caller is a 3.
Yeah. But they got to get there first. This is quite a bit of pressure from Virtus Pro also. Of course, this Doomsayer is going to act as sort of a 7 health heal. The Tempo Storm, this Druid deck really doesn't do well with hard removal. They've already used a Naturalize. They have a second one in the deck. They don't have it yet, and 1 Naturalize really isn't going to make too much of a difference here. So maybe Tempo Storm getting a little bit punished for not getting the trades how they wanted on the previous turn.
All right, well, this may just be the turn. This may be the turn that Tempo Storm has to go for it. They're taking 8 damage down to 17. And this could just be an Aviana start playing, and it is.
Here we go.
Aviana, all right. We are going for it. There's a lot of card draw and a lot of mana acceleration. Double Innervate and the coin in hand here. So he needs to find Kun is the really, really big one here. There's Kun.
My hand is too full.
All right, well, this is going to be fun for Tempo Storm. Drawn 2 here. Gets his Kun off into a Lunar Visions. Whee!
Into potentially another Azure Drake, which would be another 2 card draw.
Where's Cthulhu?
Another Lunar Visions.
All right, Innervate. Innervate's going to find some more. There's Cthulhu.
And Disciple, and then they can fit in the Cthulhu, and that is a 100% lethal. Look at that deck.
He's got to go ahead and Disciple Cthulhu his own minion to make room. And there's 32 points of burst damage. Your nightmare begins, and the game ends. 4-2 for Tempo Storm as the Druid takes down the Warlock.
When this deck works, it works.
Oh, it works in spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
And we're seeing some really interesting stuff here with the most aggressive of the classes banned out. We saw the dominance of the Murloc Paladin in the first match, and now Kun Cthulhu Druid taking out Reno Lock in spectacular fashion.
It's almost as if Hearthstone gets much more interesting when you take out
it gets much
2 classes.
different, that's for sure.
Yeah. 2 classes gone, and all of a sudden you have a completely different game on your hands. But after that game, I don't know about you, but I need a little bit of a break. So we're going to go to a little bit of a break. Don't go anywhere, guys. More Hearthstone Trinity Series will continue right after this. everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Trinity Series presented by ESL and Twitch. My name is TJ, and I'm joined once again by Brian Kibler. And match number 2 is starting to get pretty interesting. The Kuhn Cthulhu Druid coming out from Tempo Storm to defeat the Arena Warlock. And now they're going to have to play that one again. I wonder if Virtus.pro even knows what deck they could play out of their 2 remaining to counter that deck.
Yeah, this is tough. They lost many of their decks to the Rogue from Tempo Storm, and now only have their own Druid and Paladin remaining. The Druid, probably a controlling-ish, mid-range-ish style of deck, maybe also combo.
Yeah.
We mostly see Jade Druid, and then the various forms of Aviana Kun combo, and then the Paladin. Last series, we saw Anything Can Happen Paladin, absolutely dominant. That's a deck that can take quite a while to set up to get its own win condition going, and can really also fall prey to that burst damage from the Cthulhu combo.
Yeah, and for people that are just tuning in, basically each team started with 9 unique decks, 1 for each class. They banned 2 away from their opponents. And then after the bans, they picked 1 that they excluded from their own lineup, making 6. Both teams banned Warrior and Shaman, and then both teams decided not to play Hunter. So they were left with these 6 classes. So now Tempo Storm is just 2 games away from winning the match. Since it's a best of 11, they need 6. And Virtus.pro now, with just 2 decks remaining, with last year standing, they need to win 4 games with just those 2 decks. And it is going to be a Jade Druid. So we got a Druid, a class mirror matchup, but not by any stretch of the imagination a mirror matchup as far as these deck archetypes go.
Yeah, so in this match, Virtus.pro is definitely the aggressor. They need to put on pressure with their Jade Golems and keep Tempo Storm from being able to assemble all of their resources that they need to get the Aviana Kun Cthulhu going. A tall order for a deck that is largely mid-rangey. Jade Druid mostly looking to just kind of overwhelm controlling decks via attrition and just having this never-ending stream of mid to large minions, whereas the Kun Cthulhu can kind of ignore that at a certain point and just kill you.
And Virtus.pro has a decent hand to get that ball rolling. They have a lot of Jade generation. They're going to be able to Jade Blossom this turn and then, roll into Jade Behemoth and Aya Blackpaw. So those are both cards that, not only do they start building up your Jades, they're also tough to deal with in themselves.
Yeah, they're pretty sticky. The Aya Blackpaw generating both itself and 2 additional minions, including the Death Rattle. Jade Behemoth getting a body that can protect your other Jades if, for instance, your opponent is looking to clear them with their own minions. So this is an interesting point where Virtus.pro has the decision pretty much between Jade Behemoth and Aya. The Aya will die on board to the 3/3. Going to go ahead and use the Jade Behemoth to get the taunt body to protect his Jades from that Mire Keeper on the board.
I will see how Tempo Storm is planning on dealing with these Jades from Virtus.pro.
I like Super Ramp. And next turn we have just a lot of removal. We draw a Drake. Pain. This is a match.
Yeah, trade. I'm not gonna trade with the taunt. I'm gonna trade with 1/1 and 2/2.
Do you well draw?
I don't really want to wild growth because it might need it for the draw.
I don't think you're gonna get there. But I don't know, it's not doing much either. I mean, you spend the coin, you can also use the coin next turn.
So yeah, just I am.
No, yeah.
Trade is answer, right? And as they go face.
So 1/1 and the 2/2. 2/2 and then go face.
1/1 and 2/2.
And then go face.
Time waits for no one.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
Well, you can see Jade Behemoth and Aya Blackpaw just how fast that Jade generation can be. And they're starting to pile on the pressure. Tempo Storm has ramped quite a bit, though.
Yeah, the Tempo Storm does have, at least the Aviana as far as the tools that they need to get everything going. Colate Oracle also generating additional value. Ooh, there's the Kun. So they have Aviana, Kun, Bran. They don't have card draw. That's what they're actually missing at this point. And fortunately for them, though, they're 28. So a lot of life to work with, but there's a lot of pressure on the board on the other side. There's 11 power already, and Virtus Pro also getting up to a lot of mana and able to keep those Jades rolling.
Maybe this deck could use a youthful Brewmaster.
Ooh, fancy. I don't know that it needs it, usually, when you assemble everything.
Well, I didn't say need, I said could use.
It could use, that's true. There are situations in which it could use that. And Tempo Storm, you know, they have the swipe that they can use in combination with potentially the minion on the board. They could, if they really wanted to, Innervate out Disciple to prevent some more of this damage, but Innervate's really valuable along with the Cthulhu turn, because it allows you to generate additional mana to play those crucial card draw effects and continue your chain rolling into your combo.
Yeah, but, you know, Tempo Storm, they have the core of that combo. They have Aviana, they have and Kuhn, which are pretty much the core, because that's how you get them both on the board, reset your mana, and can play a bunch of minions. All they're missing is basically a card draw effect, and they can probably start to get the ball rolling. If they draw Azure Drake or Cold Light Oracle, they might even be able to go right then. At least to try and, you know, build up a big board. Even if they just like make a wide board, even if they don't kill Virtus Pro that turn, they can still put them in a situation where their board is too big for Virtus Pro to be able to deal with.
And Virtus Pro, they are looking to build themselves a board here, double innervating out this Fandral and just pushing damage. They recognize that they're on a clock.
Oh, yeah.
They need to finish this game as soon as they can. Tempo Storm's getting to the point where, you know, they have 10 mana naturally. They're going to be able to Aviana Kuhn even with nothing else, and with any number of cards in hand, that starts to get scary. Gonna go ahead and Living Roots this down. So kind of forcing Tempo Storm. Okay, we've got, how much damage is this? 7, 10, 19 on the board. They actually have lethal next turn with Swipe. So Tempo Storm is in a position where they just kind of have to go for it. Let's see if they can.
My winged children fill the skies.
I think we need Lunar Visions right away. Kuhn is in game. We're killing the Drake probably over the Fandral, or what do you think?
Drake over Fandral for sure.
Okay, so let's Wrath the Living Roots, I guess. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the 1/1. Nice. It's alive at least. I think we even Doomsayer here. I don't know, what do you think?
Sure.
Maybe we don't. Maybe we just... So we definitely play that.
I mean, okay, Doomsayer goes off, and what are we left with? A Feral Page?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, we have a lot of cycle, though. I don't know. I like this. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
Yeah.
So if he has mulch...
12, 15. Yeah, 15, 19, 20. One off. And there you go. That should be little, right? 6, 6. 4, 6.
How's that lethal?
No, it's not.
It's not lethal.
What?
I think we probably...
Mulch 5, 7, 7, I guess. Swipe whom? Swipe Aviana. Kill with the face. Back really fast.
Yeah.
Swipe Aviana, right?
I wonder.
Nice swipe.
5, 5, 7.
Time waits for no one.
And then Mooch. We're done.
Just right.
Mulch to 7/6. Mulch to 7/6. Oh wait. No, fuck. And then you trade off the board.
Maybe a little bit of indecision there from Virtus Pro, but I think they settled on a pretty solid game plan here.
Well, fortunately for them, they've dealt with pretty much the win condition of Tempo Storm's deck. There's still Cthulhu in the deck, which by itself is really scary, but Tempo Storm does not have access to it here, and they're facing down a lot of damage very, very quickly. going to be tough for them to be able to really come back from this. They just need to dig and hope that they find their Cthulhu. Just throwing as much as they can on the board, trying to absorb damage here, and just find that big Elder God.
Yeah, and Cthulhu may not even win them the game, considering that Virtus Pro might be able to build up a board that's big enough, you know, to be able to contest this. And Druid of the Claw with Phantom on the board. Naaman thought at first that it was going to be a 6/6.
6/6.
Quickly realized that.
Not quite how that card works.
Yeah. So Tempo Storm is on, you know, a single draw here to try and win. And Innervate is the worst.
That's not going to cut it. Virtus Pro, Druid versus Druid comes out on top. We got ourselves a series, 4 games to 3.
Yeah, I still think the Kuhn Cthulhu Druid, it did its job. It got its game win against one of the more slow control-style decks, and then it peacefully went away.
I mean, and frankly, that's the sort of thing that you bring some decks to do. In last year of standing format. In particular, in a last year of standing format, with this many decks, you can have those very narrow targeted decks like Kuhn Cthulhu in order to take out a specific deck, and then, yeah, your opponent beats it, well, you just reset, and now you just have to win with your more typical decks.
Yeah, definitely. And Tempo Storm still has a lead now going into this series. Going into, what is it, game number 8 now. So we're getting close to the end here. But Virtus Pro, they're going to be on that Druid once again. Just 2 decks remaining. They have to win the remaining 3 matches with Druid or Paladin. And Druid will be in the next one. So going to be on Tempo Storm to find a deck that best matches up against that Druid. And out of their pool remaining, which is Priest, Mage, and Paladin. What do you think here, Kibler?
Well, if that Mage is Reno Mage, which we kind of assume it is, based on the picks, you really don't want to play Reno Mage here. That's one of the really bad matchups for that deck. An attrition-style control deck is really tough to overcome the inevitable Jade army. If that Priest is Dragon Priest, it's actually pretty good in this situation. Dragon Priest can get out in the board quickly with mid-sized minions that can be difficult for the Jade Druid without a really good start to overcome. The Paladin, that's a matchup that I'm not really super familiar with. I haven't played a ton of Anyfin Paladin versus Jade Druid. My guess is that the Anyfin Paladin deck is probably favored there, simply because the Jade Druid's very mid-range, and you have a lot of tools that can clear boards pretty easily. We saw that actually in the first match, and it looked like it went pretty handily to the Paladin.
And if you can get that first Anyfin off and either clear the board or even just, you know, throw them out there and let them go, you know, set your Murlocs free, Druid doesn't really have a way to board sweep.
Right. Yeah.
Once they've, you know, lost the board, you know, unless they have tons of spot removal in their hands, they've, you know, pretty much lost the game. So I can imagine that'd be a tough matchup. Tempo Storm is still discussing, so even they're having a sort of a heated discussion about which deck is best. Because not only do they have to factor in, well, what deck is best against, you know, this immediate situation? Is, you know, this deck going to be better against their last deck also? Might we need this later on to sort of combat something?
If you play one of your best matchups against the Paladin right now and you lose, you could put yourself in a tough spot to beat that Paladin.
Sure, yeah, that's definitely a case. So even though probably I'd assume Paladin, Priest could also be a choice. Maybe they even want to take a risk and go with a Mage. Maybe it's a different Mage deck.
Could be.
Because we saw Freeze Mage earlier from Virtus Pro, even didn't have success. I think it was a very, you know, one of those Mage games where the Mage sort of defeated itself with
he didn't really have anything coming together. Needed more card draw, but knowing the habits and the history of VLPS in particular, he recently played Reno Mage to that win in an Open Cup. So I would expect that's most likely Reno Mage. Just also given sort of the dynamic of the rest of the decks they brought, they're mostly, though barring the Kuhn Cthulhu deck, kind of like just solid metagame decks rather than individually targeted decks.
Yeah, Reno Mage, it got a little bit of a slow start in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. A lot of people were saying there's no way that Reno Mage can be good towards the beginning of the expansion. And recently, some of the highest level players say Reno Mage might even be the best or one of the best decks in the game currently, you know, based off just on average, you know?
I'm a Reno Mage hipster. I was playing it, you know. I love that deck right away. People were saying, "Oh, why are you playing Reno Mage? Isn't Reno Warlock just better?" Reno Mage, I was mostly playing it because it was more fun for me.
Yeah.
But I also think it's very good.
Wow, Brad Kibler's so flavor of the month. every time I tune to a stream, he's just playing the best decks.
One of the things about Reno Mage, though, one of the strengths of that deck is how good it is against the aggressive decks, because you have all the cheap removal. You have Arcane Blast, you have Frostbolt, Reno itself, and if you're banning Warrior and Shaman, you lose some of the good matchups for Reno Mage, and if you got to play it against the Druid decks, that's where you're actually going to struggle.
Do you ever, when you're playing like Reno Mage, do you ever put like a weird tech choice in your deck just to keep that unique Brian Kibler flair? Yeah, gotta feel like I'm different in this world.
I do play a lot of Inkmaster Salia, even though I don't think it's necessarily that good in the deck, because, well, for one, it actually gives the deck tools to beat decks that are bad matchups. Like if you're able to Kazakus into a 10-mana potion with Inkmaster Salia, you can beat Reno, or rather you can beat Jade Druid. You just overpower them with summon guys, buff my team, and your guys are bigger than them and they lose. Yeah. But I was playing Medivh for a long time. Actually, I didn't stop playing Medivh because it got popular in the sense that I want to be a hipster and play a card that isn't I don't want to play this popular card. It got worse because it became popular because people would save their Swamp Ooze for you because they expected Medivh.
Yeah, well, insights into Brian Kibler's Reno Mage mind. But the players, one of the players had to step away from one of the teams, so we're just waiting for them to get back and make their decision at their last deck. That's why Kibler and I have given you a nice little intro into our Reno Mage decks. But you know what you do? You should put just Elise in your...
Everyone always is like, why don't you play Elise in this deck? You should play Elise in this deck. It's like Elise is the end game that you played before there was Kazakus. And now Kazakus is just so much more powerful than Elise in terms of an end game win condition. Yeah. I was playing a variety of other Reno decks at times, like the Reno Hunter deck. And a number of people are like, why don't you play Kazakus? And I'm like, well, I would if I were allowed to.
Yeah. Kazakus isn't in every class.
Yeah, a lot of decks play it. You're just like, oh, you play it in a Reno deck. It's like, well, you don't get to play Kazakus if you're playing Hunter. Maybe people would play Hunter if you could play Kazakus Hunter.
You should just join the Cabal. Easy as that.
Savitz was actually playing Reno, or no, he wasn't, not Reno Warrior. He was playing just Control Warrior, and got Kazakus off of Monkey, and then just won a game with Kazakus. It's like, play Kazakus Warrior.
It'd be an auto.
Be pretty good
in every other Reno deck if they could play it.
It's better than Reno in most matchups.
Yeah.
Like Reno is your best card against, say, Pirate Warrior, and in many cases against like Aggro Shaman, but Kazakus is the real powerhouse in most matchups.
So I'm going to ask you to give up a secret here.
Uh-oh.
If you even have an answer to this question.
I only play Ice Block. That's my secret.
Okay. If there was a card that you currently don't play in Arena Mage that you think would make a huge impact, what would it be? Quickly. Think fast.
Medivh. I cut it. Okay. I told you I currently don't play it. Well, I love Medivh. Medivh's a lot of fun and very powerful, but...
You caught me on a technicality.
We have an actual game going on here. It will be the Dragon Priest, as we anticipated from Tempo Storm, going up against that Jade Druid from Virtus Pro. And this is a matchup that is very much about getting ahead of the board, very much about tempo. The Dragon Priest needs to be the aggressor, because in a very long game, the Jade Druid will just eventually have bigger things. The Golems get too big, which is kind of depressing. They get bigger than the dragons. Come on now, they're dragons. But
come on now, they're Golems.
They're dragons. Listen to it. Ooh, interesting. So Tempo Storm actually, they have a hand that actually has no dragons right now, which is, like I said earlier, something that makes me very, very sad. But they have a Dragonfire Potion. That's a card that's largely been cut from a lot of high-level players' Dragon Priest decks simply because it's too slow against a lot of the aggressive decks, and against the mid-range decks, most of them do have Azure Drake as one of their minions that might get swept up in a mid-game sweeper, and obviously Dragonfire Potion doesn't kill dragons. So it's generally not very effective in a lot of matchups, but it can be very strong against Jade Druid.
So Tempo Storm... I'd imagine we're going to see maybe not. There's merit for a Coin Warmers agent, but then they have no play currently in their hands slated for the following turn. So there's not really anything that you're worried about. I think you can safely just pass the turn over and play the Warmers agent next turn, or even just give yourself more option. You can even play the Blackwing Technician, should you need to, and they're going to be pretty happy about not seeing Wild Growth. because now their decision to not play anything on that turn really doesn't mean anything except for just a little bit of life.
And yeah, Virtus Pro, they are able to start ramping next turn with that Jade Blossom, but Tempo Storm, as you mentioned, being able to get ahead and have a minion that's going to stick is going to be pretty important. They need to start getting damage in. This is not a matchup where you want to just try and take value trades here and there, because as the game goes on, the golems grow and grow, and you need to be closing the game out before they can.
So, Warmass Agent or Netherspite Historian or Blackwing Technician, all good options. And with no Wild Growth on turn 2 and one card kept from Virtus Pro that still hasn't been played, they can probably imagine that it's Jade Blossom, because usually you want to, pretty aggressively mulligan for the ramp cards. And so putting the most power on the board on a turn where you know your opponent's going to ramp actually is, incredibly powerful, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
And I really like this play from Tempo Storm. They're recognizing that the way their curve looks, they can play coin 3 into the 3 that buffs it. So they're going to get an even harder minion to remove, and then have multiple plays available the next turn. But let's hear what Tempo Storm is looking at this turn.
7 for free. That's pretty good. After 3-5 for free.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's fine to trade. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Also, we can utilize the hero power next turn for 2 tokens.
Yeah.
Stop this. So
Probably
next turn we're
swipe.
gonna play. Yeah, I'm thinking about swipe as well. Because Wild Growth, I'm probably gonna use it for draw.
I don't think it's a better line of play than swipe.
Yeah, but it's possible to play Fender, for example. Never mind.
No, you want to play Thunder with Wrath, pretty sure.
Yeah, the rule like this, he traded into 1-1. Didn't go face. That's strange.
Gives us more time.
Yeah, I think we have to start going wide.
Yeah, I like it. And,
So let's go Nether Spite first.
Yeah, because if you get operative, you definitely... Because you can't get killed. Very high chance to get it.
Nice.
nice. Oh, why didn't we rub that pick?
What?
Should have rubbed the pick, man.
Yeah, it was a little quick.
Yeah.
Dang, this game.
It's still fine.
Talking about roping the pick just to conceal information, but, I mean, if your opponent knowing you have a Dragon Operative isn't necessarily the best, and you're not really giving away too much information. I don't know if Virtus Pro can read into that, but it is a good thing to point out, I suppose.
I mean, generally, you want to take consistent time between your decisions for exactly that reason. You don't want to give away the information that you've got the best possible option and there's no consideration. I'm actually more interested in the fact that Tempo Storm has just been clearing 1/1s with their Blackwing tech, because as we were discussing earlier, this is a matchup that's very much about the Dragon Priest needing to close the game out. And they've killed 2 1/1s for the cost of 6 damage to face, and that's a lot of damage. The first turn, there was the realistic option that Virtus Pro could have killed their 3-4 with the hero power and the 3 guys, but that uses most of their turn anyway, and I still think it's at least feels better than that last turn where they weren't really protecting all that much, it felt like.
Yeah, even Naaman said...
Yeah, why are they not going face?
And then you heard Bunny Hopper go, oh well, it gives us more time.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, Bunny Hopper.
That is precisely what's happening.
Yeah, he was onto something from the get-go. And again, Tempo Storm, we heard in their comms that they said, oh, well, I guess it's time to go wide. And they have gone wide, but they've given Virtus Pro a lot of health and a lot of wiggle room to work with. Not much in the way of Jades or minions to play, and this board is getting quite awkward to deal with, but it can mulch the Draconid Operative, because it is one of the bigger minions, especially since this one came from Netherspite Historian, which can get big minions in the deck.
And they do have the option of, they could even Wrath plus Wrath, like Cycle Wrath, Hero Power Attack, Cycle Wrath, trade in and kill the Operative, but they do decide to go with the mulch here, and clearing off pretty much everything from Virtus Pro's board. Now Tempo Storm does not have much to work with. Let's see what they're going to do.
Definitely operative into...
Oh yeah, operative into Power Word Shield.
Yeah, operative shield for sure.
Now that Mulch is gone, yeah.
And you get like, Oh, he runs wars.
War.
War for sure with the Mulch is gone, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just being like, yeah.
No, it's 4 for sure.
Innovate. We could innovate Ref here.
No.
No, not even close.
Or as a
4 for sure.
Bran is good in the matchup, yeah, but yeah.
Nice.
I can see a curve.
Oh man.
I mean, the question is whether or not he has a follow-up curve as well, right?
Yeah, the jade mechanics.
I think so, yeah. So starter.
Well.
Yeah. Definitely have to do it. Just like.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna. Shall I rope?
Nah.
No.
No, fuck it. It's just. I'm totally kidding.
Nice. We have Song Stealer as well for anything else that we need. Well, that he's on, right? So
The thing is, he has to clear our stuff. Like, he has to kill it.
he can start pushing face, maybe. Is this super unlikely?
I see a curve, Brian Killer.
We went off curve this turn, though.
They did.
Decided to deal with that Fandral, which wouldn't have been too bad.
But
if
it
they
could
had
have
left
been
it out.
bad.
But it could have been bad.
Yeah.
That's always the scary thing with Fandral is if there's like Nourishes and Wraths and everything. I believe they actually have seen both Wraths, which is in this matchup probably the best thing to Fandral at this stage of the game, considering they already have so much mana. And yep, gonna go ahead and play a 4/4 against the Priest. But thankfully for Temple Storm, that Cabal Song Stealer can represent the ability to clear that. There's also just Ragnaros.
Yes, and Ragnaros could be a little risky, but even if damage goes face, all of a sudden drew it down to 10.
Yeah.
But Cabal Song Stealer, especially since they picked up a 3-drop to back it up, seems like a much more consistent play.
Yeah, it's really risky to leave that Auctioneer up with so much mana available to the Druid. You know, be able to just go off for sure this turn. But it looks like Virtus Pro, you know, they've got the ability to generate a pretty big board this turn if they want. The Ancient plus a bunch of Jades, but Ancient, unfortunately for them, does just run straight into a Shadow or Death.
Yeah, or not even, if they go with the Jades also, that may not even be necessary because they could just trade in the 5/5 and Dragonfire Potion would kill both the Jades. Since I think it's 4/4/5/5. Yeah, 4/4/5/5. So they could just sweep up the whole board in a Dragonfire Potion and call it a day.
Yeah, and you know, like we were saying, the Dragonfire Potion, not that popular a card on ladder right now, but perhaps with the plan to ban many of the aggressive decks, it gains a lot of value in some of these more mid-rangey matchups.
Yeah, so they're holding on to the excess mana, which means that either they're thinking about whether or not they want to Jade and then shuffle, and then excess mana to try and have a better chance of drawing another Jade. Or if they have a second Auctioneer, holding on to excess mana for that second Auctioneer could also be a way for you to, draw a free card later on down the line. But want to get the shuffle out there and going to try and at least clear some of this off of the board.
Tempo Storm with nothing in play just now. Let's see what they're going to do.
Kind of slow. I guess if Rag goes face, we get punished.
Yeah.
But it's not even that bad. He's at 6, and then we have Potion just feels so slow, but he has no cards in hand, and we have Shadow or Death next turn. I don't mind the Potion until Northshire heal face. Yeah, I actually kind of like that. I think. I mean, next turn if he goes with another Jade mechanic, we have the Shadow or Death.
It makes also the drag. For example, okay, if he goes for 1 Jade next turn, we can Rag Death. And then go
we can.
I mean, War Death.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if Rag goes face, we kind of lose our, like a win condition.
Yeah, the Rag's never gonna get answered if we keep it protected.
And as soon as we get the War and the Rag out, the Potion is a dead card.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree, 100%.
Sure. I think you're just really undervaluing Potion right now.
We have 2.
Also,
we're going to be ahead on board now. We can't afford to potion our... Yeah, like you said, we're not going to potion once our Ancient of War and Rag is on board. Yeah. We're also going to protect the Rag behind the Ancient of War after...
Sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you play the 10 and the Idol and the Hero Power? Just put lots of pressure.
Because if he's gonna show that.
But you
Was it
have
safe?
2 targets for Shadow with this.
That's why I would play them now together, right?
Yeah. I like more
But I
Ancient of War and...
But if I draw, I can get the 4-drop. I can play 2 adults at the same time, and then I can say I should have war in the next turn. But it depends on what I'm gonna draw. Like if I'm saying if I'm gonna get the Jade Spirit, I wanna draw. If I'm gonna get Innovate into 6, it's gonna be still good.
Time waits for no one.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm not gonna draw them, right? Yeah, this one is just more safe, I guess.
Job done.
A really tough decision there. Nourish could have picked up so much Jade ramp effect, especially since they have, I think, what, 5 Jade Idols left in the deck now since they shuffled twice and have drawn one since then?
They shuffled twice. They only shuffled the one time.
Oh, they only shuffled the one time?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. But this is a pretty big turn for Tempo Storm, able to take out the opposing Ancient, play one of their own. And Virtus Pro going to fire off that Nourish they held last turn. They can make a bunch of Jades if they draw into more stuff. They really would love to see if there's a second Mulch here, perhaps. But, ooh, make a 6-6 and a 7-7. That's pretty strong, too.
Pretty strong.
But maybe not strong enough. There is the Ragnaros on the other side, and that Ancient is going to be real tough for them to get through.
Yeah, if they don't hero power this turn as well, there is a possibility for lethal for Temple Storm next turn. It would be very unlikely, probably 1 in 5, judging by, you know, what they're looking at right now. But I think it's just make all of the power.
I mean, you're at 14 life here.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to try and play conservatively. You know, if they were able to say brand Jade Spirit rather than have to use that Wild Growth to cycle into it, that would have been really powerful. But now, you know, they are in a much tougher spot.
All right, so it's a 1 in 4 for lethal. They can set it up with 6 damage to face, a Shadow of Pain on the Jade Spirit.
I don't think you're going for the, well, maybe you do.
Because it's a trade into the 5/5, or
well, you can't get lethal this turn. Can't you know? You have 6. I know you can. You absolutely can. So you get a 1 in 4 for lethal, and guarantee clearing the Jade Spirit. So yeah, I definitely. Well, it's interesting because you could choose to guarantee clearing the 5/5 and going for board control. But yeah, this giving you a shot at just ending the game right now. You're also putting. Oh, there it is. So Ragnaros goes face, rewarded for that 1 in 4 opportunity, and now Tempo Storm 5 wins, just 1 away from taking the series.
Yeah, could have been a risky play though. Say Ragnaros had hit the 5/5, then they would have had a 6-6 and a 7-7 on board, which would have been able to make value trades.
Still facing a Ragnaros.
Still facing a Ragnaros, yes, but it would have given them opportunities to maybe draw into more Jades, make the board a little bit bigger, and they were close to getting to a point where the Jades would have, you know, outmatched the Ragnaros. Pure strength alone defeats fire. Right, Kibler? Isn't that how it goes?
I don't think that's how the elements line up. I don't think pure strength is really an element either.
No, pure strength is definitely an element.
Okay.
But we'll discuss it.
You didn't watch Captain Planet, did you?
No, I did not.
No.
We'll discuss it during the break. We're going to have to go to a quick break, guys, but don't go anywhere. The conclusion to match number 2 at the Hearthstone Trinity Series will continue right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Trinity Series. My name is TJ, and joining me to conclude the day here for day number 1, week number 1 of the Trinity Series, Brian Kibler. And it's been a fun day so far. This match has been, I guess I can safely say, a lot closer than the first match of the day.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Just
both teams have won games.
Just a gut,
That's part of it.
Just a gut feeling, you know. But Tempo Storm is 1 game away from securing the match. They've won 5 games so far, so 1 more win, and they have a 1-0 match score to start off the 7 weeks of the regular season for the Trinity Series.
It's interesting, too, because in the first match, we saw Tice win all 6 games with Anything Can Happen Paladin. And in this match, neither team's played Paladin yet. I don't know if they're just holding on to it as their anchor. Well, here it is.
Spoke too soon.
It is Virtus Pro with their Paladin deck, thinking this is their best shot with their back against the wall to take down the Dragon Priest.
All right, well, it is a good matchup, I'd say, the Murloc Paladin versus Dragon Paladin. But Dragon Paladins can run away with a game if they get off to a good start and are able to pressure early on. Virtus Pro, they have the Finja already, which is an auto keep in many matchups because of just the sheer power of being able to pull cards out of your deck, and those cards being Murlocs, and your whole deck synergized.
It's actually worth noting that this is not just their best shot; it's their only shot. There's their only deck left.
Only deck left. That's true. That is true. So good thing it lines up.
Yeah, all right.
But will it line up against the 3 decks that Tempo Storm has remaining? They have Priest, Mage, and
their own Paladin.
Their own Paladin left. So at best, Virtus Pro has that 50-50. They'll just come later on. Well, assuming that it's a Murloc Paladin.
I think it's a pretty good assumption. Murloc Paladin, not only the only Paladin deck sort of on ladder that tends to have much success, but also lines up very well against a lot of the decks that are powerful once you ban out the aggressive decks.
Yeah. So not the best start for Tempo Storm. They do have a 1-drop with Northshire Cleric, but it's not really a 1-drop that has much consequence. One thing it does do is sort of deny the hero power from the Paladin. But again, that's not really that huge of a deal since hero powering is not really a big part of the game plan in this matchup for Murloc Paladins.
It does mean that the Virtus Pro don't have the ability to, say, draw into True Silver Champion to kill a Blackwing Technician, which is actually a pretty important interaction in terms of their ability to deal with some of your early minions. I wonder if what Bunny Hopper is debating here, he does have the Bluegill Warrior he could send to the face. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to use Reinforce, though. This is interesting because so what he's doing here, it may look like, oh, he's just feeding the Northshire Cleric, but the Paladin, or rather the Priest deck, really wants to play something like a Tech or a Talent Priest on its turn 3. This does mean that his Bluegill Warrior will be able to trade with the Northshire Cleric.
Yeah. It's a very good catch there from Virtus Pro, realizing that, you know what? If he draws a card on turn 3, it means he's not developing a threat on turn 3, which puts me in a little bit of a better situation in the long game. A difference right away that we're seeing with Virtus Pro's deck, they have a Lay on Hands in their deck, whereas the Murloc Paladin, which we saw G2 play earlier, where they 6-0'd Alliance, did not have a Lay on Hands. At least from what we saw.
We probably would have seen it in 6 games.
Yeah, 6 games, and we've also, in 2 of those games, we got down to sub 10 cards. Yeah. I think in one of those games we had like 5 cards left remaining, or something along those lines. So we did see Ivory Knight in this deck from Virtus Pro 2, so that's a similarity. Maybe not 2, maybe they have 1 Ivory Knight, 1 Lay on Hands, but just a good thing to point out those little differences.
And now Tempo Storm, they choosing to heal, attack and heal rather than play a Twilight Drake that turn, both because this is a matchup that goes pretty long very often, and you want to ensure that you get the resources you need to stack things up. Also, it does mean that next turn, if Virtus Pro chooses to use the Peacekeeper to clear off that Cleric, you can finish it off with the Blackwing Technician as well.
Let me think.
Also, playing the Twilight Drake would have stranded the Draconet Operative without another activator in the hand. So a bunch of reasons why that play fits together, but Finja, he fits together pretty well in this deck.
All right, let's get him out. Trade makes sense. Yep. Matt checks out.
All right, I can kill that. Will do.
3-1 kills a 1-2. All right, but let's go ahead and listen to Tempo Storm as plays are starting to get a little bit more complex.
Like his board is gonna be. I mean, we have Dragonfire on 6.
Yeah, I think we just develop Operative and Dragonfire on 6 then.
Is that better than to go Drake into?
Drake into
I actually don't like. I don't mind the Drake because like the Blackwing, like the Draconoid Operative, like if he has second Bluegill in hand or second Murloc War Leader in hand, dies to the
also,
Bluegill.
Yeah, okay. So you want to play Drake then? Sure. Then we
Drake Power Word Shield.
first, right? We shield first.
Well, we're gonna
if
Power
we
Word
get
Shield the
Guardian.
Drake. I don't know if we we Power Word Shield this.
We have to shield this because like it's.
Yeah, else it's in range. Yeah, that's the whole point of the play.
Well, no, if he has, I mean, if he has Murloc War Leader in hand, I don't know.
Yeah, but.
And we
Alright.
like this. We have to create some kind of tension. Right?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
But do you like now even using the Drake? Or...
Yeah.
Because it's all
Yeah,
on
for
Drake.
The potion, it's fine.
Yeah, for sure, Drake.
Yeah, because of that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean we can't.
I kind of want to play Operative first because of that, though. You know, because then we guarantee the Operative. But we should draw Dragons soon, right? We've played.
Then maybe you can play Doomsayer. Yeah, we'll see what you're gonna get.
Do you want to play Doomsayer here? I
don't think so. We don't have a follow-up.
But we need to attack into 4/7. And hero power.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty.
There's no point in silencing.
Yeah, then I think Drake has to trade, right? Otherwise, Finch will pull.
Yeah, we have to trade.
I wield the power.
It's okay.
We only have one Murloc left, but
So cool things to note there. A lot of interesting things that we'll get to. Tempo Storm, it seems like they disagree on a lot of the lines of play. It seems like the person who's piloting the deck is the one that sort of takes over and makes the final decision, which is cool to see. We didn't really see, G2 butt heads as much or Alliance or even Virtus Pro up until this point. And also the second thing to note, that's a N'Zoth.
Yeah, that is a N'Zoth in Bunny Hopper's hand. This is a pretty greedy build of the Anyfin Paladin, and this is the sort of thing that you can do in this kind of format, where you have a very dedicated anti-control deck with this Anyfin deck.
They can actually...
This is crazy.
Not only does this keep their Blackwing Cryptor alive, it also leaves Doomsayers on the board,
which are really bad for anything. Because Virtus Pro, unless they draw exactly a quality plus Wild Pyromancer, don't really have any way to kill that off, and they don't have any way to buff those up to trade them into minions. So they're going to have to draw into Wild Pyromancer equality before they can have enough room on their board to get the maximum value from anything can happen. So I would say Tempo Storm's going to snap call this play with the Cabal Song Stealer and the Shadow Word Pain. Yeah, this is a really powerful turn for Tempo Storm. Virtus Pro is hoping to get a clear opportunity there. Wow, a second lay on hands. Double lay on hands N'Zoth in Anyfin. What do they not have? We haven't seen Solemn Vigil. So we haven't seen Barnes, though I would suspect that if they're playing N'Zoth, there's a very good chance you want Barnes because you have Death Rattles and such.
Well, Wicker Flame Burn Bristle.
That's true.
Is also
that
a
was
card
a card choice that we saw G2 including.
It seems like G2's Murloc Paladin was one that was sort of, a Murloc Paladin, but one that was designed to also do well against aggro, whereas Virtus Pro is one that's specifically designed to be, played when it's trying to counter one of the control decks. So I think that, that was the plan coming in for Virtus Pro with these, this crazy greedy tech choice.
Yeah, Tempo Storm now, they're in a weird spot because they've gotten to turn 8 and they still haven't found a second dragon. They played their Twilight Drake early. They've had this operative kind of stranded in their hand, and they can't really play the operative without giving up the battle cry effect and stranding other cards in their hand. So. Kind of an awkward spot. Ragnaros is pretty bad. There's a bunch of small minions on the board. They actually don't even want to kill that Doomsayer, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. That's helping them because when the second anything can happen comes out, if it even gets to that point, which it may not, that's one less Murloc they have to worry about, which really ruins the math also for Virtus Pro. Should that Doomsayer not get swept up in inequality by that time. But Temples are putting on a lot of pressure.
There is a Barnes, so I would suspect we may see just a lay on hands this turn. Virtus.pro really needs to find some way to answer this this board that Tempo Storm is developing. Lay on hands doesn't quite mitigate all of the damage you take in a single turn, but Tyrion here, if Tyrion gets deathed, you're just dead to a Corruptor.
Yeah.
You're facing so much...
Holy Nova.
Or Holy Nova, yeah. You're facing so much damage on the board. They have seen Dragonfire Potion in previous games, so I think they have reason to believe there are no copies of Holy Nova. But let's see what they're planning on Virtus.pro's turn.
Equality. There you go. So don't attack.
Yeah, we have to.
Look for the 10-10.
Come on.
Yep.
Yes. Insta pick. Insta
Hey, take your
pick,
time.
right?
Take your time.
Rope.
Rope it.
But it's insta pick, right?
Yeah. Now we're definitely going anything here. Just take mouse over all of them. Don't mouse over one. Mouse over all of them.
And then I misclick because I roped.
No, just...
All right, it's been enough time. Now go anything. How much damage is it? It's like...
It's 10.
8 damage. I think it's 8.
But now I play the Blackwing technique, right?
No.
I don't think you have to. I think the board clear is definitely in hand by now, so I think you
But
go
if
off
he does board clear, isn't it lethal?
No, don't do it. Just go
Wait,
face. Go face.
just
Put him
face,
to 8.
go
You
face.
set up lethal with anything. If he has the heal and the clear, then we lose. But yeah.
No, it's not lethal with anything. It's only 12. It's only 8 damage, right?
Oh, okay. Well, we still do it anyway, right?
No, we just go rag if he board clears anyway. Or we just go anything. I don't know. We'll see. Cause
Then the only question is if we drop the technician.
no, you don't play it.
We don't need it. Yeah.
No, don't play it.
Right now it's
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, quality once Muruk. How many Muruks died already?
All of them.
All of them, yeah.
All of them. All we need to know. Thanks very much. Well, now Tempo Storm's in an awkward situation because they've lost all semblance of their board. They are 2 damage off lethal with their own anything can happen. And now they risk Virtus.pro being able to heal on a full turn while still being able to keep control of the board. So, I don't know. It's getting tough.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting spot. They could just choose to Dragonfire Potion and play their Blackwing tech, which leaves them with the ability to anyfin into all of them, as Virtus.pro pointed out, which can potentially punch through for a lot of damage, though it can't get through a Tyrion for lethal as well. I don't believe there would be only the...
There's only 2 bluegills that have died.
Right,
so
yeah. Well, they do have this in play.
So it'll be 9 damage.
Yeah, he will be able to...
No. It'd be 6 damage.
6 damage, because they have, one 6 attack charger, 1 6 attack charger, and that guy. So.
Yeah. So currently they have, if just the land hands was used and they went up to 18. Oh, no, they can't use land hands. If they use anything.
Oh. This actually
loses them the game.
Yeah, this is going to give Tempo Storm Leaf. And we see Garan so excited. It's like, all right, you gave me 1 more bluegill, and now...
Maybe they didn't even think about the Draconid Operative, and there's anything can happen.
I mean, to be fair, this is a tough thing to beat. Your opponent getting anything to happen off of the Operative, but it's kind of in fitting fashion after our first match of the day. Our second match also comes down to anything can happen, clearing off the last points of life. Not for a Paladin, though. It's for a Priest.
It's won. Anything can happen has won 7 games today.
Yes.
That's incredible. It's beaten Paladin twice, which is crazy to think about also. But that's Tempo Storm taking the match 6-3 over Virtus.pro. So they're going to go and join G2 up at the top of the bracket, whereas Virtus.pro going down with Alliance to be at the bottom of the bracket with their first loss. But definitely, again, a much more interesting series to watch if you like close back and forth stuff, because we got to see a little bit more decision making when it came to deck selection after game losses.
Yeah, we take a look at the results there. The Rogue was very dominant early on, eventually did go down to the Warlock. Then we had the Druid battles before the Priest closed things out, and that's if you're someone who follows just normally the metagame on ladder, that's probably not what you're expecting, but the bans definitely really shake things up in this format.
Yeah, and I can imagine going into next week, maybe not tomorrow when we see the players play, because you know they'll have had their deck submissions already, but next week I think we might see some things changed up, so a little bit more crazy tech choices to deal with the more greedy control decks, and maybe some different bans. Maybe we'll see some aggro left up with a lot of more anti-aggro strategies in order to combat the ever so dominant Murloc Paladin.
It lost there. I mean, anything can happen when the game,
yes.
But the Paladin lost.
But when you lose anything can happen, are you really losing as the anything can happen deck?
Yes.
Yes, you are. That's true. Good point, Gibbler. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings to see exactly where the teams we've seen play today stand after just one day of competition. Again, G2 and not Cloud9, it's Tempo Storm, will sit at the top, and Virtus Pro and Alliance will be at the bottom. So tomorrow we'll see Cloud9, Team Liquid, Luminosity, and Complexity battle it out. So sorry for the little bit of confusion there, but that is Tempo Storm who will be at the top there with G2.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if the teams that are playing tomorrow will have similar sorts of strategies, if we'll see the same kind of bans. We expected to see Shaman banned in every match.
Yeah.
And we also kind of expected to see Hunter left by the wayside. But I wonder if one of these teams may have kind of a pocket pick Hunter that they're planning to bring out against some of these very powerful anti-control strategies like the Anyfin Paladin.
Yeah, but it'll be cool to see. But we do have an interview with one of the players from the winning team, Tempo Storm. We have Gara, who's standing by for an interview. Hey, Gara, can you hear us?
Yes. Hey, TJ, what's up?
Hey, man. First question. Did you get to catch the series at the beginning of the day today?
Yeah.
Did that change any of your decisions going into your match, knowing you had, or knowing you probably be going up against Murloc Paladin, that it was super strong when aggro was off the table?
Yeah, that was insane. I think both teams did exactly the same. Like, they banned exactly the same, and they opened the same deck, and then it turned out to be Murloc Paladin. And then after winning the mirror, they just swept with it. I mean, that was absolutely crazy. We weren't too scared of it because we had pretty good counter decks for it. But, I mean, stuff like this can always happen, right? So,
Walk me through.
I don't know.
Walk me through your thought process of that Kun Cthulhu combo druid. What was that like, sort of specifically targeting? Was that one of those counters to Murloc Paladin you're talking about? Walk me through those decisions.
Yeah, you just make like a spreadsheet, and then you just go over the percentages in the matchups. And yeah, Kun Druid just seemed to be the best version of Druid. And it's very similar to Reno Lock. Like, even if you want to bring Zoo, like, Reno Lock is just so much better that you kind of are forced to bring Reno Lock. And then I also expect every other team to have Reno Lock just because there's nothing else. And it would be super awesome to see if someone actually comes up with something like Handlock, for example. I don't know. And yeah, for Druid it was just that this was by far the best deck to bring. So yeah, it counters the Reno decks more consistently than the Jade Druid, for example. And it's also better versus Freeze Mage because that's a possibility that people bring that. And it's also better versus Rogue, in our opinion, than the normal Jade Druid. The normal Jade Druid is just super unfavored. It's just overall better.
Yep. Well, it was a cool deck that definitely worked out for you. And you talked about how you hope someone like invents like a handlock or something. Do you think things will change week after week quite a bit as sort of this format evolves and the meta evolves? Do you think next week we'll see a lot of different strategies and different decks come out?
I hope so. I hope so. Because if people do like a different ban strategy, then we might play Hunter, right? Because we work on all 9 decks and have like all 9 decks for specific decks prepared. And if people just do all the time the same bans, like banning Shaman and I don't know, Rogue, then maybe it will not be much different than this week. But I really hope that people, especially like if a team loses, that they just try something new, to just get an edge that way. Like, I really hope so. I mean, it was in Archon League the same, if I remember correctly, that from week to week people really just try to come up with new stuff. And I think the Secret Paladin came very late, I think in the last 3 weeks or so. Yeah, it was brand new deck. Also the Dragon Priest. I remember that from week to week there were like more and more new decks. And I really hope that it will be the same this time.
Do you have any particular decks that you're thinking about maybe brewing up for the next week?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Hunter #1, right? It's like Paladin seems very, very bad on paper, and I mean, even though Murloc Paladin just destroyed today, it's still not that good. I really hope that people, come up with the Hunter. Like, I want to play it myself, so I see how it goes.
I definitely hope to see a little bit more Hunter because watching Rexar get grayed out in all 4 teams today was quite sad.
Imagine next week Hunter 5-0s or 6-0s. That would be.
That would be the dream, man. That would be the dream. But again, congratulations on your win, and thanks for joining us for the interview. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thank you.
All right, Kibler. Day number 1 of Trinity Series is in the books, and I'm not disappointed at all. I'm actually pretty excited that we got to see incredible stuff, and we didn't see one shaman, which is a little bit refreshing for someone who's been playing a lot of ladder lately. I like shaman. I like playing shaman from time to time. I'll admit that, but it was refreshing to see a lot of these new decks.
Yeah, no, it was definitely very, very different than what we tend to see either on ladder or in normal tournaments. Seeing the dynamic of the multi-ban format as well as the team dynamic of having to play all of the classes really led to a lot of unusual things like, well, Paladin winning every game.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for what's to come for the Trinity Series. We're going to return right back here tomorrow for day number 2 of the first week with Luminosity versus Team Liquid to start off the day, and then Cloud9 versus Complexity. But if you guys enjoyed the show today, of course, we have 7 weeks of round-robin competition to come, as you can see there, where each team will play every other team once. So if you missed one of your favorite teams today, don't worry, you'll get to see them play every week for the next 6 weeks. And that leads all the way up to our land finals, which will be the top 4 teams, which happens after that regular season live here at the ESL Studios in Burbank. So definitely should be a fun season for the Trinity Series. But also, let us know what you guys thought at home. If you enjoyed some of the moments today, if you want to tell us exactly how you feel about Murloc Paladin after seeing it dominate today, you can tweet at ESL Hearthstone using the hashtag Trinity Series and join in on those conversations.
Send us all your best Murloc memes.
Send us, yes, please. And we will give a fake prize to whoever sends the best Murloc meme.
TG will make you a potion.
I will make you a potion, and a special one. I'll drink it right on stream, like I did today. But Kibler, thanks for joining me today. Do you have any highlights for yourself today? Any closing thoughts that you'd like to give?
I mean, I just think that it was great to see the real variety of strategies that were able to be successful, and seeing a tournament with no shamans anywhere, Paladin dominating. I just want to see some hunters tomorrow. That's what I really want to see, and we got 6 more weeks of this after this, too.
So one of those weeks is going to have a hunter. But again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in to day number 1 of the Trinity Series. I want to give a huge shout out to ESL and Twitch for putting on this event, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll turn right back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific for day number 2 of the Trinity Series. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.